What's up, and welcome back to the channel. You're listening to Chatterbox 18. I was just looking at that intro there, and I said to myself, there's always somebody that writes in the comments or in the chat then later on. I've had it in the last couple of videos. It's like, Ninja loves the intro. Few decibels lower would be brilliant. Listen, I'm no sound engineer. I have no idea what to do or how to do that. So they are kind of out of luck when it comes to these type of things, because I just throw these things together and hope for the best, if I'm just being honest with you. I'm not really very technologically gifted or anything like that. And that, I think, an awful lot of people think about that as well too themselves. They say, I'm not technologically gifted and I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. Absolutely 100% advocate for people to be doing channels of their own. You might not think it's the best, but I think it's very effective, and it has been very effective. The first thing I want to say is I want to give a massive shout out to Toby. Now, Toby is on Twitter and he's under a handle. I'm just going to tell you the handle now. Do this live. I'm sure it's Toby's Thoughts, but we'll see what the handle is now. Just give me a moment, guys. Now, Toby, you should be on Gab. I'm just letting you know that. And you'll be advocating for other people to be on Gab as well. Very important is what I would say. And I've been saying that to Toby as well himself and others. So Thoughts at Thoughts Toby on Twitter. Fantastic account. And we had a very interesting talk during the week on Twitter Spaces. Now, Twitter Spaces is something that I hadn't any clue about whatsoever. And it was interesting to hear from different people. You heard from Chopper, you heard from Toby, and then a couple of other people, including Gavin. Now, Gavin was one of the people that spoke last week at the protest in town, and he was decked out in a fresh tracksuit. Love to see it. And the media then chose to take aim at Gavin. They chose to say, oh, the land of saints and scholars. These snobby individuals deciding to look down their noses upon Gavin. And Gavin said something that was really important. He said that, I hope you keep doing that. Keep doing that. And he's right. Because the more that they do things like that, and I'm going to show you some of the stuff that came out during the week tonight, the more that they keep doing that, the better it is for our side. And the more people who are average working class normies are going to walk across and say, yeah, you're right there. You're absolutely bang on about what's going on. So I think what we're seeing as well too now at the moment is a constant escalation from the other side, because they're not getting what they want. It's important, as I'll always say, to remain peaceful and respectful with these protests. I think it's very much so working, if I'm being quite honest with you. And I think an awful lot of people out there will say that they feel a little bit disheartened or whatever like that about what's going on. Don't. They're just growing a number, and they're growing all over the place. So much so that they had to block one there last night in, what was it, Santry Coolock. So that's a very big move that they've just made there. Not interested, of course, in people entering the country without documents. Not interested in that. But very interested in blocking a road so Paddy can't go down and protest in Paddy's own country. Now, the more that is shown to everybody around the world, and indeed in Ireland, the more to grips people will get with reality. And reality is setting in for a lot of people. They're seeing governments making strange claims. We'll see them here with some of the articles I have here tonight. And then the same token then saying, yeah, well, we're not going to be worrying about you at all. Mask is fully off from these people. You've got to realise as well too, and I know people won't think that that's the case at the moment, but the wins keep accumulating. And this side is winning. You're seeing them back down and say things and backtrack all of the time. Keep going. It was something also as well that I said during the week, and Gavin echoed it as well in the Twitter Spaces, which was the effective thing to do. And as I keep reiterating, the likes of making sort of claims online and stuff like that, and threats and all this sort of stuff, not going to work. Okay? And that's why I'll always advocate, and I always have done, peaceful and respectful protesting. But what is frightening them is people saying, I'm going to challenge you now in an election. That's how you get things done. And it's also how you turn this stuff around. There's no good in saying things online, and then next of all, there's a knock on the door and you're brought in. Silly, in my opinion. That's just my humble opinion. Now, I know Satirical Soldier, he'll be in the chat here tonight, I'm sure. He'll be watching at some stage. Anyway, he has a different opinion on people. And to be honest with you, when he said it, I did agree with him. When he was saying, there's the difference between Enoch and other people that go to court. He's like, Enoch is standing up for what he believes in. He's not backing down. Other people backing down, bang, massive problems then for them. So you got to look at that, I suppose. But going back to what I was saying, no good in saying things like that online. The way to do it is affect these people by affecting their seats. Now, we look at it tonight, and I also have a video coming on Leo Varadkar that compiles everything that he's been up to over the last few years, because I think what you're starting to see now with him is pots are gone, in my opinion. I think that you're seeing a very worried individual, and I think you're starting to see that now from different parties. Do you know how much of a win has been accumulated on this side? Is that they've brought Bertie Ahern back. Fianna Fáil have brought him back. They're cheering about it, right? That's a fella that should be in prison, in my opinion. Now, I'm after running a couple of Twitter polls over the last couple of days, and I think there's been some interesting results. Again, as I keep saying, you're on their turf. Twitter's still their turf. And running polls, there I have today, Philip Dwyer. Would you vote for Philip Dwyer? I had it on the urinal, I'll show you this evening. Would you vote for Philip Dwyer or Paul Murphy? Philip Dwyer came in at 95%. That's interesting, isn't it? And that was on the urinals post. I did the same as well too when Paul Murphy was tweeting, because Paul Murphy was actually writing an article for the urinal. Full mask off, guys. He's on News Talk now as well. Ona Brunn was on News Talk not too long ago. Leo Varadkar does be on News Talk. We starting to get the bigger picture? I know you are. Listen, I'm preaching to the choir here. But what's happening now is you're starting to see the lines between media and government be completely finished. Where there used to be a divide there, you're now starting to see it, and other people are starting to see it, and it's important that you point that out. I've been talking to a lot of people that are into politics, and they've been saying the same thing. They've been saying it's kind of strange there how the likes of Sinn Féin and people before profit are in the media talking, and they're talking as the media. And I said, welcome to the clown show. But that's how desperate they are. This is the same playbook that we've seen from the likes of America. They talk through the media. These same people that are running the media are talking through it. It's great to see, because all that's happening is this side is looking at it and going, Ethan Porky's there. Why would we believe you? Why would we show you any respect whatsoever? This is another thing that's coming out now. Journalists going, you should respect us. No. Why? Because we're calling for all sorts for the last couple of years. The days of respect for you guys is over. That's done. Finished. And you're starting to see them get more and more out there with some of the claims that they're making. I'll show you some of the things that have been said just this week. I've been reinstated on Twitter, and I have to say it's been interesting to see some of the people and what they're posting out there. It's out there stuff. And I'm talking about one person in particular, a person that is lecturing at Trinity College Dublin. Scandalous stuff that this fella's posting out there. Now, that's where you're at now at this moment in time, where everywhere that you can possibly conceive of as having people in there are now starting to show faces. It's good to see, because to me, these people are worried. And the reason why they're making outlandish statements like they are, and that's why it's important to keep outlandish statements to yourself if you're on this side of the fence, because they're making the outlandish statements because they're panicked, they're worried. Why are they worried? They're worried because in case patriots and nationalists get into high-level positions and then turn on them. You're seeing that concern worldwide, by the way. It's not just unique here to Ireland. And when I say Ireland, I should be saying ERA. I'll be honest with you on that one. A lot of people have been talking about that, and I think they're absolutely 100% correct. So, to me, there's a lot of wins being accumulated, and that's how desperate these people have gone. They've gone back to Bertie Ahern, and then they're standing up and then they're giving them an ovation. Now, why is that the case? The reason why they're bringing him back is so that they can attempt to put him in, well, what shall we say? Attempt to run him for presidency. This is a guy who was a financial minister and didn't possess a bank account. There's media articles that were out there when the media used to do some sort of a job that were talking about all the lies that he told. Lies, lies, lies. It was one of the headlines in one of the papers. I think it was the Irish Daily Mail, speculatively, allegedly. That's early into the show now that I've started that. But these are the things that they're doing in front of your face. I also put up a poll under the post, I think it was from the Independent.ie, that said Bertie Ahern's back and Fianna Fáil are welcoming. That got one like. I wrote underneath it, where should Bertie Ahern be? Option A was in prison, and option B was in Fianna Fáil. That, at the last time I checked, had about 10 likes, and it was 100% for in prison. So, to me, that's a big thing. The other thing that I was talking about as well during the weekend, I set up a poll of, was about pepper spray. We'll be talking about it here in the chat tonight. It's something that came to my attention over the last few weeks, which was the illegal nature of pepper spray. Now, look at all of the NGOs that are running around this country, along with these woke ministers. None of them interested in helping out Irish women at all. and Irish people in general, I will say. Now, of course, you get some people that are in there that are saying, oh, well, if you have this, then the other guys, they have that too. Granted, but here's the thing, the other guys that could have anything, they're not concerned. Listen, if they're going to get up to criminal activity, they're not going to be concerned with concealing anything, just so you know that. So it's going to go from there, and a lot of people now have moved, and I've seen an article as well from Sweden. Sweden has gone full on, been like, yeah, we should have a Second Amendment like America. We should have the right to bear arms. And I was like, I think Ireland is moving in that same direction now at this moment. And that's something even a couple of other people were talking about over the last few weeks, which is you could flippantly walk around this country, no problem, like wouldn't have to worry or anything like that. Those times are done now. A lot of women are coming to me and they're saying to me, hey, I don't feel safe and I'm not happy and I'm feeling that I'm being followed and I'm being stalked and all these type of things. Now, not to say, and this is the important part, not to say that those things didn't occur before, but it seems like that stuff has ramped up in the last number of months. Now, I think there's a big correlation there personally, and I also will say, anytime someone feels like that, I think it's very important, because here's the thing, the media are dirt, right? And when I mean that truly. Or when I say that, I mean that truly, because these people went for 2 years telling you that the sniffles is out there to get you, super duper dangerous, and they're calling for all sorts with no proof. But on the flip side, they're looking for proof every single time something crops up. Do you have a picture or do you have a video of that? It's important to produce the receipts, because then their silence is deafening. And then what happens then is the gap becomes wider between people and the media. So that's why I say images, videos are super important. You can write all you like on social media, and this is what I'll say, you can write all you like on social media about an incident or anything like that, but I'm going to be clear with you. If you don't have footage of that, I don't believe it. That's the rule of thumb at this moment in time. It's like even there, I think one of the media outlets there was saying that there was a bad guys from Germany symbol at a recent protest. They provided no image. So that doesn't seem to have happened at all. Now, I will say this. It could have been someone from the Azov regiment, which is something that I did talk about before. And when you see the types of flags that those guys wave and who you've welcomed into the country, it's going to be no surprise then as to seeing certain little groups then pop up here with certain flags. You know what I mean? But the media will try and spin that because this is the way things have been laid out for them. The thing is, you've disturbed, and what I mean by that is people that are going out there protesting peacefully and respectfully have disturbed the media narrative. The media expected by now to roll this stuff in, along with the government. Look at them talking about 2030 and 2040. Why would they be talking about that? Sure, you're not guaranteed in the next election. What are you talking about? Already. You know what I mean? And the media the same. The media are very upset, and that's on behalf of the government, because they thought they were going to wheel this stuff in unopposed. They're actually still out there. I don't know whether they did it last week, but I'll be showing you again this week. They're still planning on bringing 180,000 people into the country this year. So this whole idea of, oh, well, we don't have the space, we don't know what to do, we're deferring things. Yeah, okay, until what, July? Or are you going to just trickle them in slower? Because someone said, I can't remember who it was, but allegedly 90,000 entered the place there last year. But you want to bring double that in 1 year? This is going to the wall here, guys. And the important thing to know is, this is why, say, for example, 2024, they're trying to shove it all in before then, because there's supposed to be a general election in and around then. I think that someone that's going to be running in 2024 has to have some very, very big out there measures. I don't think you can be playing tiddlywinks here now. I think it has to be starting out, and you've got to be starting with the likes of deportations, 100%, and not this voluntary deportations nonsense that's going on, because from what I understand, that's a thing. We are deporting you, but it's voluntary whether you do. If a guy out there, your man Lucky, is it there from Massey, is it? Someone said to me that that's a guy that has failed in applications to stay here, and he's still here, and he's running around running his mouth. Like, it's insane. Look at the Chico Makanda situation as well. Now, again, with the Lucky fella, speculatively, allegedly. But the Chico Makanda situation is definitely not speculatively, allegedly. That guy was told to get out, and he didn't. And only was it because of average normies. Just bear that in mind, by the way. Average normies going around doing Chico watch, and the Gardaí then had to do something about it. They weren't fussed about him at all. Not at all. Until people were going around seeing where he was. Now, there seems to be a big energy and interest in the likes of blocking people off from protests, and then you're seeing some of the nonsense then coming from these people online saying, oh, they're observing people, they're observing 20 accounts. Good one, guys. You've just said that your media narrative and the government have basically collapsed because of 20 accounts on social media. You look real strong now. So there you go. 20 accounts. How embarrassing is that? Imagine that. You're saying 20 accounts are destroying your narrative. They're posting out these type of things. Hang on here for a sec. When you want to talk about people telling lies, listen, I seen the videos that came out of China a couple of years ago. A lot of people were looking at it going, uh-oh, that doesn't look good at all. Did that ever happen here? No, it didn't. Never happened. It's happening now, though. It's happening on football pitches. It's happening in football stands. It's happening in people's sleep. But don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. That's after you roll out the thing last year. Don't worry about that. I also will say as well, eggs have been getting a great mention in general. They've been saying that there is specific stuff in those, and they are important to consume. If you're someone that has been a follower of the Voldemort, I will say, they're saying that there is some good benefits there. So I would suggest people that have potentially followed into the Voldemort stuff to look at that then. What I'm going to do now is going to jump into the chat before we get into the stories. By the way, just let me know in the chat if you have a comment or anything like that at Ninja Night. It just makes my job an awful lot easier then when I'm going through the chat later on, because I think I spent something like an hour on the chat last week. Now, I love speaking to the chat, but I just want to let people know that as this is growing, which it is, it's up at 137 people watching now at the moment, which is insane. Thanks very much. Much appreciated. As this is growing, then my ability to get through every chat message is going to be a lot harder, just as you know. Another interesting thing as well, obviously last week as well, I was talking about it over on Twitter with YouTube. They decided to limit the last live stream, which is interesting. And then since then, I uploaded the video, and it was basically a crop of the live stream of when I was talking about O'Grady's. So O'Grady's now have been getting an awful lot of very negative reviews on Google for what they've been up to over the last while, and particularly that Wicklow video. But this platform actually deemed what was happening in that Wicklow video, now not what I said, but what was being said in the video, as unacceptable. What do you think about that? So the platform thinks that that's unacceptable, what was being said in the video from Wicklow. I don't know about you, but in this platform now, I don't agree with everything that this platform does, but when that's saying that, it's certainly telling you something, and a lot of people didn't feel that that behavior was acceptable at all in general anyway. So I'll jump into the chat now and I'll say hello. But like I said, important thing to note is to make sure that you run against these people in the local councillor positions, in the local TD positions, in any sort of local position and any grassroots position that you can get into. It's very important that you take seats away from these people. I can't stress that enough, honestly. And that's what's going to bug them more. And I think it is bugging them an awful lot. Like, I mean, you're seeing the pressure on Leo Varadkar now big time. To me, that's coming from above. Now, let's have a look. Barova 1014 on a what? In here. Sean Max in here and has the Era Shamrocks there. Lovely to see you. Jerome Reedy says, how are you guys? Good to see you here. Rich McKevitt says, Janie, you're all that very keen. Happy Friday, Ninja and chat folk. I was somewhere on time tonight as well too. I think someone in the chat, I think Triple H was like, yeah, he'd be here at 20 to 8 there. I was earlier than that. So I'm very proud of myself. Mark C says, saw 6 Sinn Féin heads canvassing, called them traitors, gave them a good mouthful. The look on their faces was priceless, made my day. I have a story coming up about that tonight, and I just obviously will give a spoiler alert here. They're saying that they can't find candidates. Sinn Féin are saying that. So what's the perspective there then, guys? The perspective is that you're still stuck with what you have. Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Labour, People Before Profit, and Sinn Féin kind of going, looks like the people are wide to us, it's better off we're in opposition. Now here's the thing. Sinn Féin are known as a pivoting party. They could have pivoted and all this stuff way earlier than they have. They're starting to ask questions about the immigration, and this is how you know what's going on, by the way. Sinn Féin start to take a position on something, and then the rest of the other parties, I should say, then decide, yeah, we'll look at that too. Again, I keep saying it to you, it's us and the Uniparty. That's exactly what it is. So make our choice. And a lot of these people that are out there for Sinn Féin, I'm sure, are starting to realise what's going on. And I said to you before, respectfully, peacefully, talk to them. I know lifelong Sinn Féin supporters, and I've been talking to them and saying, what do you think about Mary Lou and the brother? What do you think about that? And they're just looking at you going, and I was like, what do you reckon? And they're just looking going, I don't know what to say. And I'm saying to them, yeah, exactly. This is where else would you get it? Pure nonsense. Let's keep going. Zoe Gilday says, everything okay with Philip Dwyer? Haven't seen him live for a few days. Don't know, maybe it's normal, but I've only started watching. Yeah, it's usually the case with Philip. Philip sometimes will be super duper active. And I've seen his video there. I didn't put up an image of it tonight, though I didn't, but I had it on different places. The video that he did when he was in Mullingar was super interesting. And I thought what was very clear from that live stream was when he approached TG Carr, and someone let me know in the chat there, the alleged journalist that was asking the questions, the way he was speaking to Philip, this whole, gotcha attitude. But the way he began it was, who are you? Pretend like he didn't know who Philip was. And then reference then a story about Philip and a dog. Now, here's the thing, okay? And just to be clear as well, obviously, on these things, I don't know the ins and outs of that story or anything like that. But the allegation and the stories that are out there at the moment is that Philip was attacked by a dog, and Philip decided to move the dog along, to put it simply. Now, that's again the allegation. I'm not sure exactly what happened in that moment in time. Philip will know the story. But here's the story with the wider world. The left like to reference that story all the time with Philip. So that's their gotcha with him. Now, in the meantime, these are the same people that were jumping up and down celebrating for the likes of the 8th. Do you know what I mean? These are the same people that are jumping up and down and saying, Irish futures, don't worry about them at all, and then wheel everybody else in. So you don't have a position to pontificate, nor do you have a moral authority nor superiority to be coming in and saying that guy and what he did, allegedly, speculatively, was wrong. You don't have that. You've lost that. Totally. So that was interesting to me to see that from that alleged journalist. And then also then the way Philip was asking him questions and starting to get him riled up. He started to get, very riled up, which I thought was super interesting. And obviously then when they went to more so the town square, when the average person that was there was giving it to your man basically verbally, your man didn't know what to do, understanding then very quickly that he was outnumbered. And of course then was one of these people that wanted to say, oh, is this anti-immigration, is it? Or is it this an anti-Voldemort thing? A lot of these things are connected. That's the most important thing to know about that. These are all the same narratives that are being pushed by the government, and the narratives aren't working out. So, yeah, now I hope your man has taken all of his jabronis, personally speaking. I hope he's up to date. Be safe and effective, guys. Very safe and effective. So, I think very interesting stuff to witness, and I think that's going to happen more and more now going forward. And I have to say, I commend Philip for talking to these people. These people deserve no time, nor do they deserve any respect at all, in my humble opinion. And the fact that he goes and talks to them as well, too, and makes them look silly is absolutely fantastic. I did note as well in that stream that there was a couple of women talking, and one woman in particular was probably where a lot of people were about 4 or 5 years ago. And she says, well, we're here in the town and we're seeing all these fellas come in and all that, and we don't mind if it's women and children. Stop. I'm going to stop you there. You're going to then move to the position that I'm in now at the moment, which is nobody should be coming into this country. Absolutely nobody that's claiming refuge or asylum or anything like that. No, we should be having none of that at all, because there's an awful lot of these people that are rocking into the place and then deciding that they're going to go back on holidays down back to wherever they came from. There's multiple instances of this happening. There's obviously multiple instances as well where it's on Facebook, where people are actually telling others in their community, hey, come on over here and let's siphon what we can over here and then we can go back home. It's absolutely insane what's going on. And yet then the likes of people going out there saying, just let them in. No, we shouldn't be letting anybody in, because the government are telling you then, which we'll show you in an article tonight, 641 million they're setting aside for these people coming from the blue and yellow flag waving country. And at the same time, they're telling you, yeah, listen, Paddy, see next month there, those €200 credits that we've been giving you, yeah, they're done. But you're setting 641 million, that's $500 million across there for foreigners. Tell you what, it would be better off if you're looking after people's bills and actually then putting caps on the companies in the meantime, if you're any sort of politician at all. So anyway, talking about Philip Dwyer. Philip Dwyer is obviously gets a big shout out here all the time. I love what he does. He's doing great stuff. Let's see. Derek Manis is in here. Says, good evening, everyone. Hope you're all well today. Remember, folks, use @Ninja Night in the chat if you have a question or comment for our host. Much appreciated, Derek. Every week you do that. Fair play. There's Leanne as well, too. Hi, @Ninja Night and all. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all well, too. Triple H is in here. Says, how is everyone? I bet be 7:40 p.m. look, no faith in me at all. No faith. But there you go. I'm here. I was somewhere on time. John Gleason says, greetings from Luton, England. Welcome to the Great Awakening. Don't allow the global to take away era like they have done here. Letitia Logan's in here, says, love the Friday night chats. Thanks very much. Much appreciated. Humans 8 says, evening on the chat. Steve Dixon says, evening all. AJPA33 says, sup people. Excellent. Thanks very much. Much appreciated. Wayne Brooks says, go on to the good Ninja Night. Thanks very much. Killian Donovan says, what's up? Nosy person, evening folks. Hope to see you all tomorrow outside RTE. Yeah, big one there happening in RTE tomorrow. That's going to be really, really interesting to see how many people turn up on that one. And I hope it's going to be plenty of individuals that'll turn up to that, because I think what's happening now is you're seeing a lot more people that are interested in getting out there. And when it comes to the summer, the weather's a little bit finer. I think you'll see even more. Very interesting to see. Sean Mack says, Simon Harris saying Ireland has a tough immigration policy and a high deportations rate. That's a fella that didn't finish third level college. I wouldn't believe a word that fella says out of his mouth. Now, I've seen him during the week. Do you know what? It's when you view these people, he's like, hi there, Simon Harris here. I'm just he actually speaks like Varga. Just letting you know that we've after putting the bills through there for giving Gardaí body cams. Okay, what are you doing about the illegal immigrants that are running around the place that are coming in here without any documents or anything like that? Nothing at all. Of course, they're never going to do anything about that because that's part of the plan. Again, the same way that they won't look at themselves or anybody else that was around them that engaged in the behaviour that they engaged in over the sniffles. You know what I mean? That's why it's important to take the seats off them. By the way, Simon Harris, 15 counts before he got in. Minister for Justice now. That's a position that people can take. I'm telling you. Leo Varadkar, 5 counts before he got in. Micheál Martin, 6 counts before he got in. These are positions that you can take, and you should be taking them off them. These people are hoping that people are going to do nothing and not run against them. Take them positions off them. And even though some people that are out there, and I do agree with you, and I understand what you're saying, in that it's difficult to take that position off them and they're going to try and do whatever they can, make them do outrageous stuff in the open. The same way that it happened in America. Make them do that out in the open so everyone can see what went on. It's highly important. That's why these protests are very important. And I think that's why there needs to be a political element to it too, which is there needs to be people that will be there that are going to run in local areas. It's no good. And I keep saying it. It's great when you're out there. And that's why I like what Gavin was saying. You're there and you're saying your piece, and then ultimately you're going away. You need to run against these people in elections. That's what needs to happen. So Goodeye says, even if there's a good candidate, how can we independently verify the validity of the results? We can't. It's why the system is broken and obviously corrupt. I agree with that point, and that's what I'm saying. Make it so that they do it so in the open that people need to question it and go, whoa, hang on there. There's absolutely no chance that happened. I take Philip, for example, 2,000 people that are watching his live stream. He's getting more people watching live streams than a lot of the mainstream media. That says an awful lot to me. And a lot of people now are commenting on this channel as well and are saying about the disconnect that they have. And they like the fact that I will reference, hey, look at this, 250,000 subscribers or followers or whatever it might be, 10 likes. Doesn't match up. Doesn't match up. David Breen says, good video, great video on Ballymun. Thanks very much. Much appreciated. Accident Advocate says the Gales must keep the momentum going. Absolutely agree with you on that one. Arnold the Saxon says, Ninja Night Wise Ward's brother. Thanks very much. Monyon says, brilliant. Steve Dixon says, mask off. Haha. Love to see it. I'd love to see it. Yeah, a lot of people don't trust the system. You're right not to. You know, I was watching The Matrix actually recently, and you know that I like to talk about and weave entertainment in. There's a couple of videos coming up as well that I'll be talking about entertainment and all that other stuff. I know an awful lot of people are highly interested in that, but I do think it's connected. But I was watching The Matrix recently, and The Matrix, I have to be honest with you, if you look at it again, you look at it through different eyes as well. You say to yourself, like, what the machine will do. I think Morpheus says it at one stage. He says, the machine, he says, is so powerful. He says that a lot of people will fight to protect it. He said, because they don't want to unplug from it. And that's why I think that movie was super important when you have the likes of the Joe Pantoliano character that's in it that decides then, yeah, listen, this Morpheus stuff, I'm not really into it anymore. I want to go back into the Matrix. I want to just pretend like this isn't happening. Doesn't work out for him. Doesn't work out at all. But the movie is an eye-opener into what can be done and how they can do it. And I think way ahead of its time. Weird what happened with those Wachowskis anyway, as well, as all I'll say. And what I'll say about things like this is keep videos like this coming. You see, this is the story that we're at, right? shut up. Stop talking. Now, what I think these videos, look at this, it's like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Anyway, what you need to do is, and I think it's super important, these people post these videos out thinking that these are good ideas. It's fantastic to see these videos, and you see, this is the stance that an awful lot of people are at now at the moment, which is instead of getting angry, which is what you shouldn't do, and that's what they're hoping you're going to do. They're hoping that you're going to base a reaction off of an emotion. That's why even the Leo Varadkar stuff, a lot of people were fussed over that. I take that in a different way, and I'll show you the video now in a few moments. I had a good laugh at it because it said, he's worried, you know. And the same with this. The more people you show videos like this to, the more that they'll clue themselves into, all of these people that are on this side seem to be really out there. So let's have a look.
We demand an end to direct provision, because we know the people who are spreading transphobia, the people who are spreading anti-trans rhetoric, it's not migrants, it's not refugees, it's not people who
Oh my God. You know, these are people, and this is the thing. These are obviously people that are not well traveled, I would say. And a lot of them live online. You can see there by the look and the way she's dressed and everything. It's, again, I keep saying it. I know I'm harkening back to things all of the time as well. It's never a super hot woman, is it? It's never a super attractive woman. It's always these individuals, you know, very akin to the Hunchback of Notre Dame, as I said earlier on. But nonsense, because this person isn't well traveled. A lot of these people like to think that, everything is fine here. These people haven't been to Turkey. These people haven't been to a Middle Eastern country. These people haven't been to the likes of Asia. They have no clue nor concept about what they're talking about. Most people, if you talk to them as well too about the United States, they say, it's an Islamophobic country. Okay, well, if that's the case, then how come is it that like 6% of the population commit 50% of the crime? Why is that? How come as a white person you can't walk around South Chicago? They never mentioned that, did they? What's the story there? What about Detroit? What about all these places that are there in America that people say are now those areas? A bit of a common denominator there, I think, amongst them. What about South Africa? What about Jamaica? Don't talk about them, do you? And then this person is gone, these people, they're supportive of Mrs. Doubtfire's. You must be joking me. You must be joking me. Because anybody with a shred of intelligence knows that if you were in a Middle Eastern country, and this is why it's very interesting, and just as an aside, you're seeing now, and I saw today an article from a couple of articles, I would say, I retract that, a couple of articles that said that they're concerned. They're concerned about Qataris owning Manchester United. You're absolutely right, they're concerned. Because you know why? They can't keep pushing messages because you think the Qataris are going to be into any of this sort of stuff? Absolutely not. And this is the interesting thing. You've had a World Cup held in Qatar that the primary focus for most of these media outlets was, oh my God, I can't believe what they do in Middle East. What did they do? It's better you don't know. Well, you should talk about it. What did they do? They criminalise it. Oh, right. Okay. What was the crime rate like over there then during the World Cup? 0. It was 0. Yeah, it was 0. Okay. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? And then what about that then? They don't buy into people being Mrs. Doubtfire, do they? No, they don't buy into that. What about, Eddie Page or anything like that? No, they don't buy into that, no. Okay. Right. Well, that's great. That sounds like things are working out really well over there. What about this place at the Clown Show? They're telling you to accept this sort of stuff here. They actually had a fella there in jail for nearly 3 months there because he wouldn't buy into it. What did they arrest him for? Yeah. What happened there was he had a verbal disagreement with his principal. He was aggressive. He was aggressive, was he? Yeah, verbal disagreement with him. Oh, it was a woman as well. Thought you said women were equal. What? Thought you said women were equal. He was aggressive towards a woman. Oh, right, okay. What about your man there across in Sligo? Did you talk about that at all? Who? Every single time you talk to these people and you just tie them up in knots real quick. You're like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist with these individuals. And I think the best thing that you've seen over the last while is the likes of Philip and other people going up to these people and asking them very simple questions. Here's my thing though. With these people here, You want to open your doors and open the country up to refugees? That's grand. You should be put down then for 10 apiece. That's what should be happening there. 10 refugees should be whacked into wherever you're living, and that should be the end of that then. See how long you're spouting all this sort of stuff here. And there should be people from different areas too. So let's see how that goes. I think that should happen. Now, again, look, now I know what you're going to say. Ninja, you're playing into it. I know I'm playing into it because that's what they're going to go with. They're going to go with this. This is what this Housing for All referendum's about. And why they had a census out. They want to shove people into people's gaffs. How many rooms have you got? You've got 4 and you're only using 2. Yeah, we'll shove them in there. And that's what they're trying to do. This is a massive operation that they're trying to get our side as well to think, shove them into their houses. Now, I think it's funny just to put it back at them and say, well, you should take 4 or 5 of them there into your gaff. You never get a response from these people. It seemed when there was an article from a couple of different people, articles I should say, I keep saying articles from a few different people that are talking about TDs, one of them being Paul Murphy, and they're talking about all these things. And I just asked the question underneath it, how many refugees are living with you? Never get a response. It's really interesting, isn't it? So these people are all do as I say and not as I do. This is all what they're about. And to me, it's just at the point in time now where you're starting to see massive amounts of people that are looking at this and going, this is a clown show here, lads. And you're right. Now, let's follow on to another clown show here. This is a guy that's not of this nation. This fella's not a man from Eire, and he's coming in and saying this about protesters. Now, they've spotlighted this guy on RTE, and they've given it an awful lot of attention. This fella's going around promoting his books as well. I think he's one book out as far as I know. He's going around the schools and everything like that, promoting it. Pure nonsense. The same type of stuff that they want to be putting into people's heads. People are istophobes. Well, what about when it's against a white person? That's not istophobia, is it not? No, it's not, no. Oh, all right, that's interesting. What about anybody else? That's total istophobia, especially when you're pointing out where these people are coming from and what they're like and all that, And then there seems to be, stereotypes are there for a reason. It's like the paddies. When someone says to you that paddies are drunks and they go across the places and they're interested in causing a bit of mischief, I'm like, yeah, that's true. That's true. That happens in Dublin city centre. It used to happen years ago. It happens now. It happens all around the country. It happens in Australia. You see it all the time. That stereotype is true. I think there's nothing wrong with that. There's people that I know that consider Irish people like the Nigerians of Australia. They're Australian themselves. They're like, the way you look at Nigerians, and you go, yeah, and that's the way we look at you. I'm like, I understand that. I get that 100%. We don't be sending our best enough of that at the time. But anyway, going on this here, RTE kind of framed this. Wait till you see the way they go with it. They kind of framed this as if this is just some audience member. This guy is on Twitter with his banner being him talking to Ryan Tubridy on the late. The galaxy brains that you're seeing of these people is something that's astounding. Now, I think what's interesting about this is in the scutter that he spouts throughout this here, no one gives him a standing ovation, nobody claps or anything like that. You can actually see this woman here starting to look as if to say, like, what is he talking about? Let's have a look here.
When I look at these protests going around the country, and even you see it going on East Wall and Ballymun, they're protesting on a Tuesday afternoon, Thursday afternoon. To me, majority of these people are out of work. Obviously, where do they get the time to protest? So my opinion is, you
can protest when you want, where you want in this country. That's what you can do. That's what this country is about. And this fella thinks he's going to roll into town and tell people what to do. And then obviously look down his nose at people. This fella now went on a blocking spree on Twitter because people started to call him out on it.
These people are out of work. They've nothing else to do. So, like, all of us work here, I'm sure, 90% of us. Where do you get the time? If most people work 8 hours a day, we only get an hour break. So where does these people get 7 hours of protests and blocking the M50? To me, these people are out of work. Maybe they're angry at the government, but they're trying to find an easy way to blame refugees, and they're taking their homes or they're taking their apartments. I think they're being misled, and I think they probably have to, raise the social welfare payment. People are angry because their electricity bill is high, their heating bills, and it all comes and just creates this mess.
Anger. Yeah. Okay. Look, you know what? We are going to.
Yikes, that wasn't good. He fumbled over the whole thing, and then they had to stop it, cut it short to be like, oh, that's not good. Listen, allegedly, speculatively, I wouldn't be surprised if this was sort of a ready up here. and certain things were probably said. And this fella got a bit flustered. And then when it came to it, started saying what he said. Look at the panic in her face. She's like, oh, that's not meant to have been said. Whoops. We have a panel here of diversity and inclusion where we got, look. And you've got this guy on here now spouting out absolute nonsense with a narcissistic, egotistical, arrogant little head in him. And you think that that's going to win people over. You've massively overplayed your hand here on this one.
All comes and just
It's
creates
based
this
on
mess.
anger. Yeah. Okay. Look, you know what? We are going to come back to this. Obviously, it's a huge issue, and unfortunately, listening to Niamh there, it's something we really need to get across. But that's all.
Not good viewing at all. Now, obviously, I'm going to show you through, take you through some of these things. This has been produced by RTE. Look at this. The Black and Irish podcast. Now, these are people that are posting up about St. George and Machete. And they're like, we want a transparent investigation into that. I think that's an open and shut case, though. Everybody knew what went on there, allegedly, spectively, of course. And then everyone saw the video, allegedly, spectively. What do you need to talk about? What do you need to say? You see, it's about running these things and profiting off these things and running with them for as long as they can. And when they're talking about being black and Irish, the accents, lads. The accents, you know yourself as well what's going on with the accents, and you know real quick as to whether these people are either fourth generation or second generation. Most of them aren't even first or second generation. These people have just come from these places and then they're pretending to be Irish. Look at your man there, Fabio D, that calls himself Black Paddy. Are you Irish? No, you're not. No, you absolutely are not. You are Nigerian, mate. And this magic door theory that these people obviously subscribe to, which is when you land in a country, you suddenly become part of that nation, is totally out there. And how disrespectful it is. It's like rocking into another country. It's like me rocking into Japan and being like, you know what, lads, I'm Japanese now. And they're looking at me going, what's he talking about? We've had hundreds of years of all sorts of going on here. We've had the samurai and the samurai code and everything like that. And this fella thinks he's going to rock in with a man bun and say, yeah, I'm part of you. He'd be laughed out of the place, and rightly so. But this is what's going on here, and it's been promoted here by the state broadcaster. Now, as you quite clearly noticed as well, too, not one looker amongst them. Wow. Interesting stuff. And then you got this guy here as well, too. Look at this guy. And here's the thing as well, right, which most people won't tell you or talk about. But this guy would be considered, from what I understand, we'll just go with that, would be considered light skin. You want to hear the way certain people talk about people with light skin. I've seen the way they've talked about Drake and other people online for sure. And you want to see the difference that actual Africans have between themselves and, say, for example, Black Americans. Black Americans are keenly aware that Africans don't like them. And they post about it all the time. Now what you're getting here now is people arriving to these shores, and I don't care what anyone says. At the end of the day, if you're arriving to these shores and mum and dad are Nigerian, you're Nigerian. That's it. That's as far as I'm concerned. The same way if I rocked over, and you see the same as well too. You can play the game. You see the same from military bases there, for example, around the world. I've seen a couple of different actors that would say like that they're from America. Mum and dad were born in America and they were born in a military base in, I don't know, Okinawa or somewhere like that. Like, they're claiming that they're American. They would never say that they're Japanese. You know what I mean? And this is what's been going on for the last while. These people are getting away with these type of things, and with the likes of being handed citizenships as if they're Skittles by this inept government, to then turn around and say, well, we're oppressed. If that's the case, go home to the likes of Africa. Africa possesses a population of 1.2 billion. This is a country that possessed in and around 4 million before the last census. Listen, you're going to become a super minority as an Irish person in the next few years if this keeps continuing the way it's going. And I don't think there's anything wrong with pointing that out. You're seeing these people, not these people specifically, but certainly people in Nigeria have decided to rule that they have banned foreign models and foreign voiceover artists so that they could focus on Nigerian people. Does that not say it all to you? And you're seeing the same rhetoric be pushed out across the world. It's happening in the UK. It's happening in France. Look at the French team. Look at that French team from the World Cup. All you have to do is look at it. And something that came out during the World Cup was that the Argentinian team wasn't diverse enough. Well, it looks like the Argentinian team won the World Cup. Not that it looks like it. They did. They won the World Cup. So there you go. It puts this narrative to bed once and for all. And that's not even going on that Disney program. What's that called? Loud House. Has anyone seen that? Loud House there during the week decided to post out stuff that was way out there. So you need to be keenly aware of what your children are watching nowadays as well. Also, I've said it in a recent video where we've talked about there the likes of Transformers. That's why entertainment is important, because it might not be interesting to everybody out there, but it's interesting to someone that if I point out, and I've had a conversation with, well, not I say a conversation, an attempt at a debate with people that obviously do not agree with me. Obviously, they can say what they like on the platform. When it comes to common sense and realism, you know, you're treading a very interesting line in this platform. That's why I would certainly hope that Elon would buy this platform, or again, someone out there with mega money that's going to come in and buy it. I think that would be great. But anyway, you need to be keenly aware of that, because these people have no qualms. They're not fans. They're not fans of Transformers or anything like that. They're not fans of it at all. But they want language like, this character identifies as they, them in this series. We've no problem with swapping the character's gender or anything like that. A character that has stood since 1984. No issue with that at all. These people are not fans. They're parasites. And they've done it with every single IP that you can imagine. They're like Thanos going around collecting Infinity Stones. Look at all of the IPs that you know of. Transformers, He-Man, Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, Masters of the Universe. All ruined by these people. Marvel soon to be completely ruined and derailed. So these things have happened in entertainment, and what keeps happening is they keep failing each time with it. And these IPs are going to the dogs. And it's interesting to me because independent creators are doing really well out of that. So what it keeps telling me is that their message isn't sinking in and people aren't buying into it. Look at what's going on with this Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy thing. I don't really have any interest in buying it, but I've seen the reaction from the specific community that are out there, the Doubtfire community. They're going mental about it. And they're very upset because J.K. Rowling, who was a lefty woman, let's be facing that fact now, but she's saying, no, listen, fellas that decide that they're women are not women, like. And she's been targeted for the last few years because of that. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's anything wrong with pointing out the obvious, and point out the obvious like this. Black and Irish, no, you're not. You are absolutely not. No chance. And I think what should be happening in this country, and I think it's something that people are going to look at, because as you know and understand, the reason why they're bringing people into this country is because they know that they've lost the native population. Look at the way that they're turning on the native population, by the way. Look at what they're doing. They've no concern for the native population. You've got Adon or Reardon sneering at people, saying, sure, why would they talk to the people of East Wall? Why would they talk to the locals that are there? They're sneering at them because they imagine that they're just going to have these people that are going to vote them and they're going to tell them that they're as Irish as you are. No, it's not happening. And you need to point that out. And I think we're at that point in time now where people are done with listening to nonsense and these people saying, I am totally Irish. No, you're not. No, we're not. 100% no chance. This also happened during the week. Now, this is an American Post, obviously, because they decided to put the month in the middle. I don't know why they decided to do that. It's very strange. Excuse me. What they decided to do is, I was thinking about that there a different way. They put the month in first, which is also a very strange thing to me, obviously. But why did the internet break on the 2nd of the 9th, 23? So 9th of the 2nd, 23 for all of us here. YouTube outages reported in the last 24 hours. Facebook outages reported in the last 24 hours. Instagram outages reported in the last 24 hours. Twitter outages reported in the last 24 hours. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? It kind of coincides with what went on in America last week. Very weird, isn't it? But also, what you're starting to see now is a gradual play for these online communities. And what I mean by that is they're concerned about the spread of information online. They're real concerned about that. And it's starting to ramp up even more. And it's getting really out there now. And what they're going to try and do, I would say, is they're going to try and have the flick of the switch to try and turn these things off, especially when it's something that they don't like. That's why the mass gatherings bother them. And that's why the protests are important. And that's why it's important to network with people there, because they know that people turning up to these things doesn't spell a good election the next time one comes along. And again, people are starting to ask questions. So like, the Green Party are starting to sound off a lot of nonsense. Yeah, that's right. Who voted for them? Did you vote for them? I didn't vote for them. I'm in a room full of 40 people and nobody voted for them. That's really weird. Very strange. Anyway, Dostoevsky says tolerance will reach such a level that intelligent people will be banned from thinking so as not to offend the imbeciles. That's happened for the last few years, but it's starting to change. This is something that you got to keep a very close eye on. This comes from the Irish Times, the Irish Slimes, as many are calling it now. Our forefathers would have commandeered all available land for refugees and the homeless. Wow. No, they wouldn't have. Absolutely not. But this has been posted out there as if it's nothing. And Harris. Harris, really weird that that name keeps cropping up, isn't it? Ranting against the far right is not going to put a pillow under a war-weary head. Now, I've talked to you about this word here, and this is what this is. This is, at the moment, an information version of that. These people don't have any interest in it going kinetic, and what you're starting to see, and listen, I'm not advocating or am I supporting or endorsing it going kinetic here, just to be very clear on that. But what is happening, and what you will notice from the last few years, and even look at the original one, what would we say, W1. That started off as an economic thing, an economic problem. And then people started to distance themselves and they started to not buy from certain places. And then it got into being a political problem. So then it went from being economic to political. And these are the same type of things that we're starting to see now. Economic, political, and then kinetic. You were starting to see, and you'll see it here now as I'll show you, a big interest in throwing away the neutrality of this country. Why is that the case? Because what they want to do is they want to send people across to different places as cannon fodder. That's exactly what they want to do. And leave the soy drinking individuals hanging around here and people with very bad opinions that are 40-year-old women that have plenty of cats around the apartment. And what they want to do is they want to tell you how to live your life. Nonsense, pure nonsense. But that's an important word that you got to realize, and they're going to start ramping that up now because this is exactly what it is. Not too long ago, there was an article that was out there about the minister declaring this upon people that were not followers of Voldemort. Remember that one? And then the minister had to come out and clarify and say, I didn't say that. But they led with that headline. So this has been going on for the last few years, and this is what you're currently in right now. It's a culture one. It's an information one. It's an economic one. It's a political one. And then the next thing is a kinetic one. Look at the Americans. The Americans are chomping at the bit there to get over into the likes of Eastern Europe. Chomping at the bit. They can't wait to get over there. Because if they do that, you have an absolute goof that's running their show at the moment. Now, I'd be interested to see what would happen if he decided to go all out. I don't think he has the backing of the people in uniform. I think that you'd probably see a lot of people say, no, I'm not going. Which is, in my view, what should be happening. But anyway, going back to our country, because our country is the most important. Commandeering all available land for people not of this nation is absolutely not something our forefathers would have done. But look also as well with this headline, because you got to realise what's in these people's heads. They decided, again, speculatively, allegedly, this is just how it looks to me, and the homeless. That seems to me like they wrote this headline and then someone may have suggested, or maybe the person that was the author, again, speculatively, allegedly, added that in. Because if that had just been said, people have been like, okay, all right, you know what the story is now. What this gives you is a bit of a, well, we're going to commandeer for them, but those people too, because that'll take care of the argument that comes back from people that are nationalists and patriots to say, hang on there, we've enough homeless people on our streets that we shouldn't be accepting anybody else in. This is a goalpost that they like to shift all the time. They like to say, oh, you never helped out or not cared about the homeless or anything like that before. People have been talking about that for years. They absolutely have. Do they want to bring someone into their home or have them cause a nuisance around their area? No, they don't. They absolutely don't. And it's the same thing here, but it's ramped up even further because not only are you bringing people in, you're giving them freebies over people that have been here. And our own people. And I mean our own people. I don't mean these people that have rocked in from allegedly Romania that are running around the place there, and there's an awful lot of them. And there doesn't seem to be anything being done about that there at all. So people are getting more and more clear about what's going on. This is a Facebook post that went up during the week, from what I understand. This was last Monday. And this came from Adrian Kennedy and Jeremy Dixon. Now, from what I understand, they got absolutely dragged in the comments, which is great to see. But they've been really quick onto the Liberal there over the last 24 hours, because the Liberal put out a story about 5 buses arriving in Santry, and through no report now, the bus driver, this is how clown world things have gotten. The bus driver of one of them had an interview with the urinal, which obviously now, anytime that happens, I'm like, well, I severely doubt that. That's why videos and images are super important, guys, because that's how you keep ahead of these people, because these people have shown you they'll lie, and that they'll tell you things that are completely and utterly untrue, and for your disadvantage, that's what they'll do constantly. But look at the narcissism and, again, the arrogance from these people. Now, these are 2 fellas then that were straight into the comments under the Liberal, and they were saying all sorts of really ridiculous and out there things. Of course, no comment about Kitty Holland or anything like that. 0 comment about that. Probably defending her, I would imagine. And all of the other things then that they like to defend, left-wing positions. Nonsense. Are these fellas taking people in to live with them? Highly doubt that also. Pontificate about it, though. Why are they bringing any of them in? Nah. You know? But look at the way they spoke about people here. Hey kids, you've no skill today, so we're going to do something fun. No, it's not the playground. No, it's not the cinema or plays on. We're going to protest outside the offices of the mainstream media. And look at the way they use they. They're trying to belittle people. And this is what's important. This to me shows that their arses are flapping, because they are concerned about people protesting outside the mainstream media. Why are they concerned? They're concerned because people will share videos, which they have done, and images outside these buildings. And when they get around, people start asking, how come there's a couple of thousand people hanging around these buildings? What's the story there? And the Streisand effect, of course. People start looking and listening and say, well, what are they talking about? Are they talking about them telling porgies? Yeah, I agree with that. And then people start to disconnect even more. The important thing about the movie The Matrix is you can tell someone everything about what's going on. They have to see it for themselves. That's what Morpheus says. Morpheus is it's a very well written and wise character. They have to see it for themselves. So when people start to see this and they start questioning it and they go, oh, hang on here for a second. What are these guys defending? They're defending people in the media. What's the story there? What are they talking about? And then they start to look into it. Interesting. But to me, they're concerned because people are turning up to these places, because beforehand, these people in the media could post what they want, pure and utter nonsense, which they've been doing for years on end, and people didn't show up outside the place. Now they are. But to me, there's no more valuable of a lesson to bring children to, your own children to these things, to say, look at what's going on. Look at these people, these deceivers, these jesters. Look at them and listen to what is going on here. And this is where you're seeing panic, because the more people that disconnect from these people, obviously their ratings go down, obviously the funding to them goes down, and then they lose people, and then the majority then starts to creep up on the other side. This is what they're concerned about, and that's where they're trying to rein people back in with the, we're looking at the borders here. The EU have told us to look at the borders. No, done. You've showed us there that you're going to lie and cheat and steal for the last few years. No chance are people going to be back with you. And this is the thing. I mean, look at it like this. This is, if you just break it down to simple terms, it's like being in a relationship with someone that keeps lying, cheating, and stealing, and keeps doing all sorts of negative things, and is completely and utterly controlling and abusive. And then you're going back to them again and again and again. Like, there are people out there that'll do that, but the large majority of the people will be like, well, film me once. That's it, done. It'll be great fun. You can wave as our Irish flags like on Paddy's Day. Don't be asking me why we're protesting, though. I haven't for a effing clue. A great family day out. Disgusting arrogance, and it just shows you what these type of people truly are. So opinions matter. Now, just to let you know, by the way, guys, these guys are produced by Go Loud, from what I understand, if I remember correctly, which is owned by Bauer Media, so a German company. So just letting you know where these guys are at. That's the same company, by the way, that own the, well, not own, but certainly produce the likes of the Hold My Drink podcast, some of the news talk stuff, and the Talking Ball Bags podcast as well. These are guys that are regularly posting on Twitter, and they seem to pretend like they're on side with the people, and then other times them be like, oh, you're a tinfoil hat wearer. Anyway, we'll keep going. So this is what happened during the week, and this was Monday. Look at what this is. This is the left's march there. Hate speech. Say no to violence against the Quran. Say no to burning the Quran. That's a weird one to lead with. It doesn't seem like there's an awful lot of women there. Sure, it doesn't. Now let's have a look and see what was coming from the paddies. Look at that. Just so you know, that's an incredible pair of images. And I'm going to do a video on it obviously as well too. This is what Ireland's future is looking like at the moment. Overrun with people not of this land. Here's what Ireland's future should be. Irish people and Irish futures going forward. Like, this to me is a very important image to witness, and these are two very important images to witness, because it's clearly setting you up and understanding for a lot of people as to where things are going. Look at all the dudes hanging around there. Where's the women? You know what I mean? But not only that, then, what type of future is going to be had here? That's Irish. Doesn't look like much. What type of future is going to be had here? Plenty, in my view. So fair play to the women as well. You know, it's very important that they're out there. It's great to see. It's great to see people unite. And that's why it's important to keep these protests respectful and peaceful. And let's have a look at some of the videos as well, because I like to do these things once you have the medium of doing the likes of streams like these ones. So just wait for it to boot up.
So
Now this is great. This comes from, again, listen, here's my thing. I wouldn't advocate anybody to be on that platform, if I'm just being honest with you. But videos like these are getting out there and people are starting to witness what's going on. And that's why social media is important. That's why the media themselves are panicking, because this video, it conveys a lot of information in something like 14 to 20 seconds.
all these here we are men that are protesting are mostly Muslim, that are all 30 and above, and here we are men that can't fight for their own countries. All of them. All of them. Not the kids' fault. Not the kids' fault. But all these here we are men can't fight for their own countries. Both Irish had 2 years ago.
Yeah, you're so
Very Irish, yeah. All the hairy arse men here, all of them. And typical shitty Irish people supporting.
That's brilliant. I think that's hilarious. And I think that's one of the best videos that we've seen in a while. This woman just out there pointing out exactly what's going on and exactly the way we should be looking at things, which is, look at all these fellas that are running around the place here. They should be off there. They keep telling us that there's issues in their countries, but these fellas have scarpered off. What's the story about that? Really weird, isn't it? Very strange. Here we have what happened in Coolrock and Santry. I'm going to show you a couple of videos here. This is shameful, is all we can say. And what's happening is, and what is continuing to happen is, this organization is losing credibility every single week. They had a good, I would say, I would look at that as being good promo on Monday. A lot of people were giving them a lot of credit. They were giving them a lot of pats on the backs online. And straight away then, this week, it was like, all right, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do something that's completely and utterly out there. Now, I'm very aware, and I'm keenly aware of this, that there are people that are telling these individuals what to do. And look, I'm someone that needs to look at both sides of the coin, which I will. I have my own, obviously, personal feelings on this, which is what I think they're doing is wrong. And I wholeheartedly believe that. But looking at it from the other side, which is what you got to deal with, these people are taking orders. And even though that they may not like taking the orders, they're still doing them. I would humbly suggest that people need to be having discussions within the station either before this happens or after this happens or during when this happens, and dissent needs to be shown, in my humble opinion. Because how can these people put on a uniform and go out and do things like this is beyond me, and then go home and look at themselves in the mirror. It's disgusting, in my opinion. And like I said before, you're going to see an image as well too that I think sums up the whole thing, which detonates the left's narrative of something that people have been pointing out and talking about for the last few years, about the involvement of two people in particular. One image of one of them, and I'm sure you'll see them in the video. But a lot of people are saying, are these young people straight out of Templemore, or what's the story where these been drafted in? Okay, tactically, what I think needs to be happening then is the protests are occurring on different nights, yeah? They're occurring in different places. So what you're going to see is you're going to see them move as many people as they can as possible around to these different areas when they know these are on. Now, what's been suggested from an awful lot of people online is what they did in Holland, for example, which is they posted up details of a certain place that they were going to go and protest. Their police turned up at that place. They didn't even go there. They went somewhere else, and there was none of them around. So I think that that was a good idea because they decided to throw out the bait, went somewhere else, made them look silly, and then the others went anywhere. They went somewhere else. So I think that that's a good idea. Or the second thing that's been suggested an awful lot online is people need to be having protests on the same day. So if you have one going on in Coolock and one on Finglas, if the Coolock one is on Monday and the Finglas one is on Wednesday, have the Coolock one on Wednesday and the Finglas one on Wednesday. That means then they're going to be stretched between those two areas at the very least. Now, again, that's what has been suggested online. And I also think then when you're seeing things like this, I think it's really putting the cat amongst the pigeons. And a lot of people are looking at this and they're saying, hang on here for a second. People can't respectfully, and that's what I'll always say, respectfully, peacefully, democratically protest in their own country. But people are being wheeled into this place with no documents. And these are the same people, by the way, in uniform. Not the very same people, but the uniform in general was happy to go after nonsensical things over the sniffles. Remember that? So a lot of credibility was lost during that. And the fact that some of these people wanted to bring people to court as well, too, over being 5 kilometres away from the house. You know, the sniffles knew when you were 5 kilometres away from your house. Used as pawns is all that's going on there. But a lot of people felt disgruntled about that. They're feeling even more disgruntled about when they see things like this. So the optics of these things are not good for them. And that's why I keep saying respectful and peaceful is super, super important, because the more times they do something like this, the worse it looks for them. And the people had the best response to this, which is they started chanting at them, shame, shame, shame on you. And then they went to the police station then and did the same there. I think it's super interesting, to be quite honest with you. And I have to say, like I said before, I don't know how these people go home and look at themselves.
It's not safe.
What's not
safe?
safe?
You're entitled to peacefully protest, but it's not safe.
What's not safe?
Explain
It's not safe to go past there.
But we have to be cognizant of everyone's health safety, yours and everyone else's that use the roadway. We have to do. I understand that.
Everything is being taken away by this country.
Everything. Let's face it. If there's engagement, there'll be no issue. Do you know what I mean? So we can put a piece of hand in place.
Now, the lads there in the background that you're seeing in the black with the caps on, that's allegedly an armed response unit. Allegedly. Speculatively. So they're hanging around there as well. Now, again, the optics of this situation, first of all, is very bad. This is horrific. This is really, really bad. I don't think people can quite... I don't think... I think a lot of people will, obviously. What I mean by that is, if you were sitting outside this country, I've seen some people in America be like, holy moly, you know, you guys are putting up with it. And I think what you're starting to see now is, I mean, just the optics of this situation again. They're blocking a road and they have heavier guys behind them, we'll just say, with vans and guys to block off people from walking down in their own country to protect. And that is all that it's doing, to protect the feelings and the ears of people that have entered into this country. Like, this is outrageous stuff. And shame on them all. This guy trying to explain it away is absolutely disgraceful, in my opinion. This is a shameful act.
It's proper people.
There they are there. See them? I know that's a little bit blurred. There's this fella there hanging around as well too. You're going to start seeing them as well. In this video, I was kind of surprised that they didn't have the neck gaiters, the snoods, as it were, up along. Now, that would have looked even worse. So I'm sure that there was probably a word that was given beforehand, which is, listen, guys, these people have started to figure out that you wear snoods and masks, and it looked really bad. That looked really... Now, this already looks bad, but that have looked worse had that have happened.
Shame on you. I tell you, I hope none of you kids are affected by this. Shame on every one of you. Every one of you, shame on you.
Right way to do it, you know? And again, the more times people start asking them questions, and again, the same thing, telling them shame on you as well, that should, I know some people would say it won't resonate with them at all. And I hear you on that one. But that should resonate with them. That people in our own country are saying shame on you. And let's have a look here.
Come on, go through the park and come out the gates.
Be all over everywhere.
Now, this one here is front and center. To me, you're seeing the diversity hires, as you can see here as well, that are hanging around. That's why the guys are here behind. There you are there. You've got the snout up above there. I don't know what your man's doing here, but this guy anyway, covered up. Oh, it's a cold night. Oh, it's chilly. Yeah, we'll see when it comes to the summer anyway. We'll see if it's still cold then. You know, you keep telling me that the likes of the weather is out of control at the moment. By the way, did anyone see what happened in Turkey? Turkey are starting to come out and be like, listen, guys, there's certain manipulations going on. And there was something trending on Twitter. Like, what would we say? Like the Irish harp, that's what they were talking about. The second word being more important there as well. Look into that one if you have time. it's out there stuff, guys. But these things definitely, in my opinion, exist anyway, because there's a massive case being made for it anyway online. Anyway, going back to this. Diversity hires are here, but front and center here, and what was in the crowd as well, were Asian police. So, just again, it's something I'm going to talk about in a moment because I have the picture of the individual in question, but just the optics of that situation, obviously, too, is very important for the narrative going forward.
Every social network
Mommy, go
that
around
the
the other
police
side.
are going to denying us
Our constitution rights.
Why are we not allowed to
as an
protest?
excuse not to allow us to
Look.
march.
Lads, this blows away the lefty narrative of the foreigners coming in here won't do bogus things. Now, listen, I'm going to just preface that with you've enough of our own doing naughty things like this and doing things that are wrong, in my opinion, like this. And this has just blown that narrative out of the water. Now, just imagine when they decide to recruit more people into this service that come from other countries that are not going to chat, they're not going to chat or talk with the people or anything like that, and they're going to have, again, this is where it's all leading towards, by the way, they've got chips on their shoulders when they're listening to podcasts that are out there, or things that have been promoted in the media calling Irish people, Indigenous people, istophobes. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder because they're being educated to think that way. And when I say educated, I think that their minds are being shaped to look at it like that. Look at what Kanye has been saying as well about his own people. He's been like, listen, these people are all being pushed into these types of lives and behaving in certain ways rather than doing what I do. Now, people might not agree with everything Kanye does, but he speaks eloquently. He doesn't get up to any nonsense, and he's interested in doing good things. However, looking at this here, people are being taught in this country that people are istophobes. This is why the media are running with this, by the way, and why that this woman is front and center, because in my opinion, that was a bit of a bait there for people to say something. Now, obviously, there's no footage out there that anything was said, and I think that's super important as well, too, by the way, because don't give them an inch at all, lads. But this goes against the narrative from the lefties that, if they sling on the uniform, they won't do bogus things. Well, there you go. And this person, I don't know where she's from, but obviously with the look that she has, I'm sure she knows plenty about the history of Asian countries. And does she think that this is right? Does she think this is the right thing to do? I don't think so, because I think that she looks like a deer in the headlights in the videos that we've seen here. And I think that she looks like, wonder what's going on here. Because here's the thing, you can stick the diversity hires out here, what has been regularly posted. Now, again, as I keep saying to people, respectfully and peacefully, you've seen other videos out there where people aren't respectful and peaceful, and I'm talking about baddies, and female police officers cannot deal with it. Someone actually said that in one of the posts that I made as well about the pepper spray. They were like, women should learn martial arts. And I said, understand your point, hear what you're saying. However, there's people that are great on paper. They're great in a dojo setting. They're great in a club setting. But in a real life setting, not good at all. You know what I mean? Because when it's put on you in real life, it's a totally different ballgame. So these are the things that would run through my head now when I'm saying things like this. There's a whole way of looking at this, and they thought that they were going to get a reaction from this. But shame on her and shame on all of them, to be quite honest with you. But this goes against the narrative from the left, which is people that are coming across here won't follow and do bogus things. I think it's going to be long before you see them in camouflage next. You not think that? Do not think that that's what's going to be set up now in the likes of Mullingar, and why they're trying to bring in more diversity and inclusion. This is what they're doing with the Defence Forces over the last week or so. They've been talking about diversity and inclusion and what were they saying? Tempering masculine macho behaviour. Now, I don't know about you, but when you're going to be implementing people into the place then that think completely different to that, that's going to have people at odds. So that's what I think.
Man, go through the park and come out the gate.
Be all over everywhere. Every social network. That the police are going to guard denying us
Our constitution rights.
Why are we not allowed to
as an
protest?
excuse not to allow us to march.
It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgraceful. It is what it is. I have to be honest with you. This is great to see it out from Monday. Thought this was great. This is Gavin here as well that spoke at the event. I think it's brilliant to see the amount of people that were there. And this wasn't reported from what I understand. Someone said that this wasn't reported on the 6 or 9 o'clock news or anything. I was like, whoa. Now, again, allegedly, respectively. But if this isn't becoming mainstream news and people are sending, this is why it's important, sending videos to people around the place and they start to disconnect, that's what will happen. They start to go, that wasn't on the news. But what are you talking about? They're talking about the 100 odd Egypts that are turning up there telling you that transformers are super important and that we need to be thinking about them. What are they talking about there? And then there's thousands of people streaming through the street. It just harkens back to what happened during all the nonsense over the sniffles, which I think people should be held accountable for. But it just harkens back to then. 1,500 people walked up O'Connell Street. No, they didn't. It was about 10,000 strong. So let's have a look at this. Now, this fella here was caught out because this fella was an Irish Times journalist or photographer, allegedly, respectively. But look at the way he's dressed. I mean, you can spot these people a mile away. And especially the way they speak as well. I'm just here and I'm just working for a newspaper. You don't speak like me. You're not like me. These things aren't affecting areas like yours. You may move on there. And this is what you're dealing with. You're dealing with little posh boys, little yuppies, as people are calling them. And people have tuned out from that altogether. They hear your Philip Dwyers. They hear your satirical soldiers. They hear your Dan's mixtapes. They hear your Irish inquiries. They hear all of these people. And they say, okay, I'm much more interested in listening to these guys. These guys are speaking as they are. And they're one of us. And let's see what's going on. Media are done.
Far right here, just the same parents, yeah. The same parents, that's all. No far right. Yeah. Tired of fucking innocent people, that's fucking shite.
So you can see the face. I think that's a nice image as well too, that it stops that as well too. Just a surprise, because this is what's happening with the media. The media are stunned at this pushback. Like I said to you before, this is why they're going all in on the name calling, because to them, they thought that this was going to be a handy number. Paddy was going to be asleep. Paddy wasn't going to be worried. And now all of a sudden it's come to a head where people are going, no, I'm not having this at all. And I think it's great. They're stunned. They don't know what to do, and they're cornered. This is the thing. They are cornered, and they need to now pivot from what they've been saying and doing real quick to try and quell what's going on. And I don't think it should, and I don't think it will be quelled. I think people have got the bit between their teeth now at this stage, and they said, okay, we're going to push on. But like I said, affecting these people in elections is what's ultimately important. Irish neutrality is over, and defence forces are vulnerable, Finnish military expert claims. Lut again Essa Polkenken urges investment in Republic's Air Corps, Naval Service and Cyber Defence. Well, that's a fairly lofty statement, isn't it? You know, this is the type of thing that I would love to see a video from Satirical Soldier on, because he's a guy that would know intricately what's going on there and obviously be able to speak about the neutrality side of things and then what they're looking for them to do. But like I said to you, this is just a prelude to try and enter Ireland into the nonsense. You seen Leo Varadkar today was on Twitter. He was meeting with your man there from the blue and yellow flag waving country, a fellow that's going around in a green t-shirt everywhere he goes, playing the part, of course, got an Oscar from Sean Penn as well, so it makes complete and utter sense. Employs the Azov regiment, whilst himself being of a certain fate. You just got to look into that, and to me that doesn't seem normal with what they want to keep telling you. But you're seeing now the likes of Varadkar saying that Ireland stands with them. No, we don't. We absolutely don't. I don't stand with them. Stand for Ireland, and that's it. And I've no interest in our people being used going forward. And this is the plan, in my opinion. The plan is to try and enter Ireland into this type of nonsense. And the plan will be from them to try and draft people, I would assume. Now, at that point in time, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. You're going to get a couple of dipsticks that are going to be interested in that. And I think the large majority of people are going, nah, I'm not interested in that. I'm not going over there. What's that? What's that? You care about the blue and yellow flag waving countries' borders? You do? Okay. What about our borders? Oh, you're an istophobe. You're a bigot. You're a bigotophobe for wanting to protect Irish borders. But the blue and yellow flag waving country protect their borders, protect their ones, even though you're not from there. Yeah, no thanks. No thanks at all. Sinn Féin struggling to find candidates for local elections. Lack of suitable candidates and poor infrastructure in some areas hampering parties' efforts to become largest in country. I'm just going to spitball here. I think that people are wide awake to that party, and I think now that they're panicked. I think they're like, we don't want to take the reins here. We want to keep the blame on the others as far as long as possible, and we don't want to take the reins now because otherwise, and I'm just saying, again, I'm just speculating and speculatively, allegedly, I think if they were to assume power and they were to do the same things or even more, people would be eyes wide open to what's going on. So it is in their interest. They didn't field enough candidates the last time that this happened, which is weird. They're obviously saying now that they're struggling to find candidates. Why is that? Is that because a lot of people have turned their backs on you? Is that because an awful lot of people are walking up to you? Is that one way of looking at it? Or is the other way of looking at it that you're afraid to take positions? Because if you do, then the onus is on you. And when you do the same things or you do things that are worse, well, then it's not good viewing for you guys because people are more aware then by the time 2024, 2025 rolls around that you are all the one. And that isn't good for the brand. So to me, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. But that says an awful lot when they're saying, we can't get candidates. You should be overwhelmingly getting candidates and pushing them forward. Why is that though? But none of these people in the likes of the media will ask any of those questions because they don't ask real questions. Why have they lost support? Why is it that people in the media are pushing them now? For years upon years, they didn't want to push these people. But these people go woke and it's like, get them in. There's the new Taoiseach. That's who we should have there. She's a great speaker. Has anybody asked her about her sister's occupation? No. Has anyone asked about that? No. Nobody has. Nobody's asking or coming back to her about, excuse me there, hang on there for a second there. The brother, assessed her or anything like that at all? No, nothing. All right, okay. Nobody asking those questions. And again, I think more and more people are seeing things like that and they're starting to quietly walk away. And some people loudly walking away, being like, lifelong supporter, gone, I'm out of here. Breaking news, Ireland. This comes from the Independent.ie. 44 families take legal action over passings of relatives from the con in HSC facilities. That's going to be interesting to see how that one pans out because Pandora's box is soon to be opened now in relation to that. And if there's settlements, payouts, whatever it might be, it's now going to be quite negative for them going forward. And that's before you get to the people now that have, like the woman there in Achill Island that's starting to look into what happened with her son, 14-year-old boy. That's again is going to open her up massively going forward. And to me, there's a couple of things that are going on, which is why you're seeing the next story that I'll show you now. He needs to retain power through any means necessary because they know that if somebody gets in there that's a patriot and a nationalist that's going to hold them accountable, these are in serious trouble. You're starting to see people and other nations start to talk about certain penalties being brought back. And I mean, you're seeing Donald in America starting to talk about certain penalties, talking about, traffic lights and all of that, If you were engaging in traffic lights, you're you're looking looking at a penalty. So anyway, look at this here. Remark comparing her to convicted criminal made at a particular point in time. It was made at a particular point in time. I probably didn't mean it, and I'm just going to say I just want to retract that, Mark. I like guys and tell them lies. Sick of them. I'm sick of them. But here's the thing. It just goes to show you that they're all in it together. Are you going to stand up for what you believe, and you're going to stand over what you said? No, I just said it at a particular point in time. Oh, so you're flipping on that one there as well. So you seem to be a guy that doesn't seem to stand by what he says. Weird that, isn't it? Something later. During the 2008 Dáil debate, Mr. Veragger compared the former Taoiseach's evidence before the Mahon Tribunal to that of criminal John Gilligan. It was at a particular point in time. Things have changed. He's a reformed man. Did he do time in jail? No, he didn't. Okay. Things haven't changed in the all. But this is what I was saying to you before. This is an attempt to shore up the presidency, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. And that is why now what needs to happen is you need a money man. Now they need to come in and they need to be talking about what's going on. I know people don't like it and they don't like to hear it, but this is why you need someone with a considerable amount of money that seems to be on side with what's going on. To me, I know people don't want to hear it and they don't like him, but when you look at what Conor McGregor has been saying over the last few years, it's at odds with these people. And look at the way they report about him in the media. Now, I know people that say, oh, he's this and he's that. Listen, is he any worse than any of these people in there? I disagree. You're also seeing as well too Peter Casey. Peter Casey is someone with big money. And you're seeing him become more active again on social media. You're seeing him talk. Now, what he did the last time was, he, in my opinion, told the truth too late. And I think if he'd have told it earlier on, I think it would have been on in terms of a challenge to Michael D. Higgins. But what to me would be a big one would be if a lot of these people started to post things about what's going on or the insides shenanigans that have been going on allegedly, speculatively. And I think that would then garner a lot of support and it would waken people up. That's why the interesting thing about Donald in America was that he did go and he did speak personally about people. That's one thing that I like about McGregor. And McGregor has always done that as a fighter. He has always spoken about someone personally and he has taken stuff that some people just didn't know about, or he's taken stuff that have clearly been leaked to him by someone in the gym that was true, and he'd use it then. And that's what he would use then in variable press conferences. And I think that is, again, you might not like to hear it, but that's the type of guy that we need. We need a guy with money. We need a guy that's going to hold him accountable and that's going to say what he thinks, and he's one of the average normal people. You don't need a fella that's going to be talking like this and saying, oh, guys, I'm a 4 billion billionaire. I've got 4 billion in the accounts. That's no problem, guys. Guys, that's not what we want. It's not what we need. We need someone that's real. We know that we need someone that's an average head. Now, again, I know that I'm saying that. Is he perfect? No. I'm very clear about that. But my God, guys, you can do well better than this guy. You know what I mean? And like I said to you before, it's come to the point in time now that you need to be electing people to positions there that are going to be taking things serious. And the president holds a lot of power and is going to try and has pushed things through for these people over the last few years. Pure and utter nonsense. Look at those health acts as well. Now, Michael D. Higgins signing those in. So it's a super important position, and these people are keenly aware that what this says to me, and I'll be honest with you, because you've got to look at these things with the glasses that I look at them with, which is optimism, is this is a desperate act and it's a desperate measure to try and shore up what they want to do going forward, because there's people probably in there in that Dáil that are keenly aware that they might very well lose seats and might lose a considerable amount of them. And it's something I keep saying, an Ireland force, which is what I like from Derek Blythe, an Ireland forced group or party, whatever it might be, different counties, different constituencies, running in them would cause bother. Look at the bother that Matty McGrath has caused alone. And I think that that's fantastic. I think Ronan Mullen, I like him. Really like Ronan Mullen that's in the Shannon. Like Sharon Cogan, obviously has backed down over one or two things, which I don't think you do. You have to stand firm. These people don't bend the knee. And I think I really like Ronan Mullen. And obviously as well too, as I said beforehand, Matty McGrath is someone that I really like, and only for him, he was the only voice I thought in the whole place that was giving a voice to people here in Ireland. You were getting it from nobody else. I know that you had your man there that was from Clare. He's gone off the scene now big time. Is it McNamara? Is it gone off the scene big time? Haven't heard much from him at all since then. But McGrath's still in there and he's still talking about things he's talking about, for example, the forum and everything like that. Like, these are things that these people don't want to be on record, because when it's on record and the likes of the dot, it's on record. You know? So it's interesting times, and I think that this is a play that if certain people lose seats, then they're like, well, okay, we'll probably have a majority into the next election and we'll see how we go from there. I'd say watch this space on that one for sure. The Parliament set aside €641 million to house refugees from the blue and yellow flag waving country. This is scandalous stuff. This is when people are talking about these protests like that, this is what people should be protesting about as well too. Over $500 million been spent on people not of this land, and they're telling you then, Paddy, you can deal with the heat and the electricity bills. No, that's not the case. The reverse should be happening. People that are deciding to come in here should be getting nothing, and the bare minimum, I would say. And this should be going towards helping paddies out. It's absolutely scandalous. I cannot believe that this is an article that's coming out from the state broadcaster, by the way, flippantly. Yeah, they're just setting that aside there. The Department of Integration has set aside €641 million to cover the costs associated with housing refugees from the blue and yellow flag waving country in the coming year. So again, they're planning on more coming. They keep telling you this. This is why these protests continuing are super important. And then there needs to be people that will emerge from those protests that are going to run in local elections, start becoming known. And this is why some people do have a problem, and I understand that. Some people do have a problem with people that are speakers. They have a problem with people that are standing up there and they said, like, they're trying to move into positions. Yeah, that's what we need. Do you think that Michael Collins was knocking around places around Ireland for the lols? No, he wasn't. He was knocking around places like that because he wanted to be in positions that were going to affect something. So that's what we need. And this is egregious. This is treasonous, in my opinion. This is absolutely out there. It's scandalous. I can't add enough, negative adjectives to this. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. South Africa's Ramaphosa declares state of disaster amid electricity crisis. So just as a little bit of a palate cleanser about what's going on, this is what happens when you decide to go fully electrical. Disaster. Rolling coverage of the international stories of interest to our readers. This comes from IrishExaminer.com. So the electricity stuff isn't really working out over there. Well, what are they going to do across here? They're still going to try and roll it out. They're going to overwhelm the grid, guys. We've made a deal with France to say that, power supplies and that, if you need a backup, it can come from France. What? You've done what? So that means that you think that might not work. Well, that's not a good idea. If you were building something or if you were doing anything in life and you thought on the first go, I don't think that's going to work, at all, what would you do? Would you continue to do it? No, most people will go, well, I'm not going to do that. Well, is there something else that will work? Yeah, I'll do that. And that's what they do. These idiots that have no repercussions whatsoever are fiscally irresponsible and inept. Well, they're not inept, because the things that are going on are too stupid to be stupid. It's all by the design. But this guy in South Africa, come on, guys, let's listen to someone that's diverse and inclusive. He's telling you that he's declaring a state of disaster amid the electricity crisis. This is not the way to go. So let's listen to the diversity and inclusion. Let's do that. Or what you're going to do, you're going to continue it. Again, these are the type of things that you need to be showing these people and saying to them, listen, that's not good enough. What you're trying to do here isn't good. Former Taoiseach Bertie Ahern receives a standing ovation at Fianna Fáil event. It says it all, doesn't it? Really. Bertie Ahern receives a standing ovation at an event to mark the 25th anniversary of the Belfast Agreement. It is absolutely out there, lads. It is completely and utterly out there. Shocking. Field gun that started Irish Civil goes on public display for first time. 18-pounder was one of 4 boomsticks handed over by British National Army in 1922. That's an interesting one, isn't it? These are the same outlets, by the way, that be telling you boomsticks aren't great. And as an aside as well, too, a lot of people are starting to buy into, we should have a Second Amendment, we have the right to bear arms like Americans. A lot of people are buying into that and they're saying to themselves, sounds like a good idea. Like I keep saying to people, you know, you'd be utterly defenseless. I mean, bad guys have things, okay? And certain police have things. And if you called the pizza shop, if you called, they keep saying it, if you called Domino's and you called the Gardaí, who do you think would arrive first? And at that point in time, what are you going to do about someone with something that's going to be having serious and very dire consequences? To leave you without anything is negligence at best and extremely sinister at worst. So this is where you're moving towards, by the way. And these are the same politicians that be telling you, oh, guys, you know, it's for you is asking for this sort of stuff is wrong. But sure, you're happy to send out the guys there with the likes of the AR, you know, that you're happy to do that. You know, and the SDU and all that. You're happy to send these fellas all around the place. You're happy to be guarded by these people as well. Remember that as well too, that you're getting escorted around the place by people like that. So you don't seem to be buying into what you say. Same way that you keep talking about the likes of the weather. Oh, the weather, guys, you know, you have to cut down on what you're doing and all that. What are you doing there is buying a new private jet. How come you're starting zooming? Why are you not doing that on the computer? You all told us that was cool. That was good for the environment. How come you starting doing that? How come helicopter trips are being made around the place? What's the story at that? How come car trips are being made around the place? No problem with you guys. Claiming expenses and all on it. We're telling Paddy that he can't do that. Weird, isn't it? Just an aside as well too, the Americans voted there, I think it was something like 247 to 201 to repeal the entry requirement of going to America being, you know, a Voldemort follower. So that's done now. So you can re-enter America. Now, if you went into Mexico, allegedly, respectively, and went up from above there, that's he didn't, again, same thing that was happening here. He didn't documents, you weren't worried about that there. But a lot of people are talking about it, and I'll say it to people now all the time as well. Don't give your money to Democrat states. Don't go to them. Go to Republican states. Give them the money. Give them the support if you're going to America. Go to a nice place with nice people where you're going to feel safe. Don't go to New York. Don't go to these places. I mean it. Go to somewhere that's going to be decent. New York is going to be a bad experience for you, and it's going to get worse. So don't reward them for what they've been doing for the last few years. Reward the places that were up for your freedoms, like the likes of Florida, you know. Let's keep going here. EU agrees tougher rules for failed asylum seekers as leaders call for border surveillance. So problem, reaction, solution. More surveillance. That's always the case. What about just refusing people from the country? How about that? No. We just want to watch it. But this is all gone towards as well these ideas that they want. I mean, ideas are rolling out. Someone told me recently, I think, that they needed an ID. I think one of them was a public service card, PSC. In a public service card, I think, to renew their driver's license, I think it was. Now, if I'm remembering that correctly, and I was like, so why was you needing that for? And they were like, I don't really know. And I said, you should do. I was like, because there's an awful lot of information on that there, and someone has that information, and that's not great. You know, when I was growing up, it was our passport, and that was it. And then they brought in the great idea, we'll bring in Garda IDs. Okay. Well, you know, it saves you bringing out your passport in case you lose that. Right. But if you lost the Garda IDs, they had to pay money to get another one. Anyway. So it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other, wasn't it? But this was the beginning of it. And now it's starting to move on. And now they'll tell you in the next, I'd say it'd be in the next year or two, you can get them digitally, guys. Why don't you see? Now, this is the same thing that's going on here. This is what they're doing. They're not interested in your borders. Like, they couldn't care less. And one way of looking at it is that people have pushed them into this situation because of the ground unrest around the place, which is why the ground unrest is going to increase. And this is what they think is going to placate the plebs. That's the way they look at it. Oh, we were tougher rules for failed asylum seekers. Like what? You're going to get rid of them? What about just refusing the bogus ones straight away and then making them foot the bill for going home? How about that? No? Weird. Taoiseach backs right to buy GAA tickets with cash. The GAA should have some provision to buy tickets in cash, Taoiseach Leo Varadkar has said. This move towards a cashless society also is very negative, and it's creeping in different places. Krispy Kreme are at it. Certain boojum restaurants are doing it, and Five Guys are doing it also. So there are 3 places that I know of that are attempting to go, well, I mean, they have cashless facilities. That should be pushed back upon massively. And it has been. I've seen your man there, I think his name is Andy Quirk, the guy who plays Damo and Ivor on the RTE show Damo and Ivor. He's wired to what's going on big time. I think it's great to see. You know, he'd probably be a good guest to have on if I did a stream or anything like that. And these guys are out there and they know what's going on because they're in these same circles, you know. And when it comes to this here, what do you mean a right to buy a GA ticket with cash? That should be absolutely 100% nailed on. What do you mean back it? I mean, these are people that are firing bills in left, right, and centre. You've got Harris there talking about the fact that he's putting in a bill and it's moving towards the second stage of giving body cameras to Gardaí as if it's some sort of accomplishment. Like, I think that this body camera thing is going to create more problems than it is going to solve. Because what happens when you're the average person, which you should do, is recording them. What happens when you're recording them and then their recording doesn't match up with your one? Allegedly, speculatively. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting. So moving towards this here, this cashless society and this kind of flirting with it, which is constantly happening, cash should be used 100%, and people should use more cash. And you're seeing the panic from the likes of banks, you're seeing the panic from the likes of revenue. When people are using cash and they're using it more so in their draws, use it as much as you can whenever you can. Final €200 electricity credit payment date confirmed next month. The government announced back in September that they would be giving every household €600 electricity credit in the form of 3 payments of €200. Just scroll back up here, guys. Just so you are going to be remembering this. 641 million to house foreigners. What do you think about that? €200 for the paddy for a couple of months. 641 million spent on foreigners. How about that? Mad stuff. Absolutely mad stuff. Let's have a look through some of the things here as well. We have Lucky Kumbale of Massey and Junior Minister Neil Richmond are in studio with, now he got in there just basically because Damien English was removed. On the ditch, I told you, by the way, on the ditch was going to just rear its head again, and they did. And they're all in on what the government are saying, so everyone knows now what the story is there. I told you this a couple of weeks ago anyway. Everyone knew. But anyway, are in studio with Fran McNulty to debate how to tackle the sword of false claims on social media about migrants. 14 likes. Let's see how many people follow you. 156,000 people. That's amazing, isn't it? Huh? What do you think about that? And all the people they tagged in it as well. Madness. Very interesting, isn't it? Brian Lucy, finance professor, proud father, angry taxpayer, bad gardener, everything personal, retweets, not endorsements, TCD, Trinity College, Dublin, and North Kildare. Mastodon as well too. This is a big red flag. Well, let's see what he was saying. Irish media are faced with a great challenge of confronting ism. Can you explain what that means? Forcibly putting people into their homes, forcibly segregating and discriminating against Irish people. That happened over the sniffles. That's really weird that you're just talking about this all of a sudden, isn't it? It's almost like you're buying into what these people are saying. Weird. So far, they are collectively failing. He's telling you the media are failing. There can be no debate with ism, however it manifests. Ridicule, relentless hounding, doxing, and shaming publicly, not softly balance ology one of ism. Now, what this guy is asking in here, with 116 likes here, is asking for people's private home addresses to be leaked online. Now, in my opinion, when he says hounding, relentless hounding as well, this is advocating, and an awful lot of the time with this doxing sort of stuff here, it's advocating harm upon a person. I'm not saying that this fella himself is specifically intending to do that, but the meaning of things like this is to advocate harm. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of people that are absolutely loose cannons that are out there that have fully bought into what the media are saying. And when these people are trying to give out home addresses to people, in my opinion, they're thinking that maybe someone that's a loose cannon with a few screws loose is going to start turning up to these places. Now, there is a couple of people that will post and they will say, you know, FAAFO. That's an acronym there. You know what it means. You know what I'm talking about there. You know, your man with the glasses there, you know, and he's talking about messing around and finding out. Okay? And that's why people now are starting to look at, say, for example, defending themselves. I think you're absolutely right to be defending yourself 100%. And when you're seeing the advocation there from people to share private information, which is a GDPR breach as well too. So that's just clear on that one. I know Tracy O'Matney talked about it as well on her Twitter, which was fantastic to see. And Trinity College Dublin, I'm sure. Now, they didn't post any comments with relation to it because I tagged them and said, hey, TCD, do you condone this and do you support this? What's the story? No response from them. Interesting to see that one. But a lot of people are looking at that and they're going, hang on here for a second. That doesn't seem like the behaviour of someone that's a hero. It doesn't seem like the behaviour of someone that's on the right side of history. It sounds like someone that would have been involved in slapping the armband on in and around 1930s, 1940s Germany. That's what that sounds like to me. You know, it's the people that are calling people this F word are the same people then that, funnily enough, it most of the time applies to them. This is just the image that I was talking about. They're in the headlights there. Look at your man there behind with the face covered. Shameful stuff for this. Absolutely shameful stuff. But just as an aside as well, 21.8k followers. So 21,800 followers and 116 likes. 14,000 views. Let's have a look at this here. Today by a vote, that's the one. It was 227. Did I say 247? I was incorrect on that one. So I'll actually pull myself back up on that and go, no, I was wrong on that one. I think it said 247. 227. So 26 people in the difference. The US House of Representatives voted to finally end the Voldemort mandate for visitors arriving by air to the United States. 201 Democrats voted to keep the mandate in place. Do not give their states any business. Nothing. Look at this here now. Now, I'm telling you guys, I have said it regularly about this fella. I don't trust this fella at all. This fella bought in on the Voldemort passports and yet again now is showing you why you shouldn't trust him. Do I like the organisation? I do. I think they do good work. But when you see posts like this, you need to scratch your head, you know, at the very least. Do I trust Bertie Ahern? Not really. Not really? What do you mean, not really? Now, to just paint a picture here, he then in the article headline says, why I'd absolutely vote for Bertie Ahern as president. Now, we know people will say, well, you have to read the article and see his reason in it. But listen to me. If your answer to, do you trust that person and not really being the answer, you want to vote for them to have one of the highest positions in this country, you need to be having a very serious look in the mirror at yourself. At the least, you probably need to be assessed with that sort of thought. Like, what is this about? But again, a lot more people are starting to clue into these things and they're starting to go, hang on here for a second. We agree with you on some things, which is the thing. You can agree with people on things and debate with them on things. But this is egregious, in my opinion. Like, you don't come back from this one, in my view. And there are better choices that are out there that people with like Grips that have the responsibility, in my view, to do, should be advocating for. But it's like, do we trust them? Nah, not really. But would I vote for them? Yeah, definitely. This is the personification of Asher Luck. Asher Luck isn't working and hasn't worked for the last number of years and won't work in the future. You need someone in there that's going to actually do a job, that's actually going to look after the Irish people, that's going to hold politicians accountable and is going to disagree with them. Michael D. Higgins has just rolled over with everything over the last few years. He's had a couple of sound bites that have seemed somewhat in disagreement. But I want someone in there that's coming out, holding press conferences week in, week out, being like, listen what this fella's doing over here. Look at what he's at. Because that's how you affect these things. You've got the state broadcaster that can't ignore the president. So why not utilise that position? And this is what I'm saying to you. You might not like it. You might not like to hear it. But a figure like a Conor McGregor or Peter Casey, someone with money, mega money, that understands and is a base patriot, needs to be in there to be calling those pressers and be like, do you know what this person is trying to do and has done over the last few years? Look, that's what you need. Not this stuttering fella. I was financial minister and don't be asking me if I didn't have a bank account. What? Do I trust him ahead of the government or ahead of RTE or the Irish Times or the Wokier than those in the Women's Council or Amnesty Ireland or some talking head from a university? Damn straight. Lost the plot here. Done. And a lot of people are looking at that and they're going, This is why independent media is important, guys. It's why it's important, and why people that are in positions like that are still trying to keep people on the hook. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep you on the hook for as long as possible. Now, let's have a look at this here. Robin here quotes Ian Begley, Gavin from Finglas addressing demonstrators outside the Irish Times building. Again, the Istaphobe language here, the law, throw them in jail, strip them of their homes and all assets, and give them over to refugees. Send their children to caring, loving, and decent families who will raise them without this in their hearts. Let's see who this guy supports. Oh, Shinner. This is your general Shinner now. Lads. Shinner, this here is identifying as being of the rainbow community. Up the Gra August Chuck Fiar Law. You don't get to be Ist and Irish, Imelda May. South Armagh. 1,909 followers. Do we have likes on the post there for this one? No, we don't. Anyway, that's what you're getting. So this is where you're at now. Over people speaking the truth. This guy wants them in jail. Again, this applies to you now. Again, these words are always used by people that are in turn themselves very akin to what they are dubbing other people as being. South Armagh, of course, as well too. And just as an aside, it was something that I was talking about with Toby's thoughts, and Toby, in fairness to him, was saying that this channel inspired him to do what he's doing. And he was saying about when I put the call out and said, like, the rural boys need to be getting involved. You need to be getting involved because this is the type of dipstick that's representing some rural communities now at the moment. You know what I mean? Very clear and obvious. Sean, Dan Boyle, 1 in 5 people living in Ireland was born outside of the state. That includes me, my sisters, and thousands like us born to Irish immigrant parents. All those who have chosen to make Ireland their home are as Irish as we are. 384 likes. Now, I wrote underneath that, no, they aren't. And it's just simple as that, because why should you be putting up with nonsense like this at all? Scandalous stuff it is. It's absolutely scandalous. Balaji said Irish and proud, and I said that you're as Irish as I am Nigerian. This is the boy himself back on Twitter, and I had a good laugh at that. It's pure nonsense. Now, he didn't respond to me. Christy Moore has drank the Kool-Aid, guys. 38.7 thousand followers, 1,283 likes. Please consider supporting this. Hope to see you there, Christy. Ireland for all. So the outlet that likes to be singing the old songs about Ireland, totally forgotten about it. Solidarity March. That's just solidarity. Anytime you see that, you should just recognise that as communism. Ireland for all. Stronger together. Homes for all. Healthcare for all. Services for all. Now, when they say things like that, everyone, and this is how they do it and how they use these little phrases, it sounds reasonable because you'd say, oh yeah, everyone in Ireland, the Irish people. That's not what they mean. They're like, no. People that are coming here, they deserve just as much as you do, and if not more. Because they say it down the bottom then, diversity, not division. So that's the real message here. But all the commie speak that you're saying here as well, just whacked in, and this guy's supporting it. So what can you do? Well, all you can do, and all I suggest, I can't tell you what to do with your money or anything like that, nor would I. But don't buy merchandise. Don't buy his stuff. Don't go and see his shows. Peacefully, respectfully, tell him what you think when you see him out and about. That's all you can do. And again, as I said, peacefully, respectfully. Super important. But there you go. Nearly 40,000 followers. And just about cracking 1,000. Well, just be fair here. 1,300 likes, we'll just say. But 92,000 views. We'll just go and say 93,000 views since how we're rounding things up. Not a great return, is it? Not really great. Let you know where these people are at, though. And the more times that people like this, and this is what you got to realise, and people are realising for sure, and I don't need to be, preaching to you, because these people that have been put up on pedestals as idols are all just talking heads. And I know it's difficult to disconnect from that and say to yourself, hang on here, there's an actor or singer or whatever like that I like. You got to disconnect from it, and you got to say to yourself, well, ultimately, that's what they've done. They've decided to align themselves inside themselves with this machine. And you are not the machine, and the machine ain't looking out for you. These people have all made their money. This is why it's lofty nonsense from them. Is he housing any of these people? No, he turned the replies off. Didn't even have the stones to do that. This is what I'm saying to you guys. Christy Moore didn't have the stones to turn on the replies to this. That suggests to me that he already knew before posting this. Maybe his PR team, I doubt that he's probably tweeting, probably doesn't know how to. But the PR team knew straight away, you're going to get lashed over here in this. And so we did. 331. And I think a lot of them were quotes going, look at this nonsense. So this is what's continually and constantly happening. People that have made money and are just selling out now to the machine, hand over fist, recognize it. I know you like their music. I know you like what they do if it's an acting job or whatever like that, but recognize what they are doing and stop supporting it is what I would say. And let other people know. And other people say, it doesn't really affect me. I don't really care. Like that. That's how they continue on doing what they're doing because they're gaining influence. And I told you before, guys, I said it to you. They're going to wheel everyone out. They tried with the Game of Thrones Adult Pretender. It didn't work. That video now has more likes than the original News Talk post. That's insane to think that. Someone commented that in the video the other day. They were like, you have 649 likes. That's more than the post that News Talk had. And I was like, whoa, that's interesting. But this guy then is being wheeled out as well. Bono is already out there. Nobody cares about him now because everyone knows about him for a very long time. But they're going to keep looking around and seeing who can they use. They'll go to your comedians. They've already done it. They'll go to the woker ones. They'll go to them. They'll go to actors next. They tried Actor Man from Game of Thrones. Nobody cared about him. They'll go to a bigger one. They'll try and catch a hold of one of them. They will. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Barry Keoghan next. I wouldn't be shocked. He's a fella that has a role in the MCU, in the Eternals, and he's playing the Joker in the Matt Reeves Batman universe. Wouldn't be shocked if they tried to go for him next and try to get him to say something. Why? Because he's a fella that would have been known in and around the city centre, and he's a guy that lives in those areas. He'll be the next one to come out. I'm telling you. Not a better man. But I would be pretty certain because he was at one of the Comic-Cons and he was wearing the face nappy at it as well. Took a selfie on his own with a Batman statue with a face nappy on. So, we're just here. Women in Ireland are regularly coming to me to say they don't feel safe. The pepper spray is illegal in Ireland. I believe we should be making it legal as soon as possible. Do you agree with making pepper spray legal? 856 votes. 6,999 verified views. Obviously would have liked to see more people voting on that. I'm not going to lie to you about that. Nearly 1,000 votes, that was not bad. And 94% said yes. Who the 6% are saying no baffles me. That's very strange. It's a weird thing. But always look on the positives. And that is 94% said yeah, we should be. I put up one there with tasers today. That's doing well enough as well at this moment. I think the last time I looked, that was in and around the 90% as well. So that's an interesting one going forward. But the large majority of people agree with this. I've got a number of comments underneath it as well that are saying, yeah, no, that's absolutely what we should be doing. These are actually proactive measures that make sense. Not, do you know what we'll do, guys? We'll put body cams on Gardaí. Why? This would be a proactive thing to do. You know? Common sense. This is also what I put up here. Who would you vote for? Now look at this as well. I thought that was quite interesting. 197 verified views between that one, and that had 6,999 verified views. Now I know myself as well with this platform, there's going to be shenanigans, and when attention is drawn to things like this, I know that there's people still working in certain ways on these platforms to try and limit the reach of these things. But 39 votes, so it's not bad. 95% for Philip Dwyer, 5% for Paul Murphy. That's not good reading either, is it? And this is an open public poll, by the way, just so we're clear on that one, just so everybody knows. My profile is open and people can vote on this publicly if they so choose, and still that was the result. You know, this is a sitting TD. That's a guy that's a citizen journalist at this moment in time, and he's romping home here with, I know as well too, people say it's only 40 votes. I agree with you. I understand that. I wish it was more. I wish more people were voting on it to get a real clear indicator. If this had 10,000 votes and that was the result, I'd be like, well, Philip should be definitely running in that area. 39 votes, probably low hanging fruit on that joke anyway. 39 votes, probably more than this guy got anyway. This also was the poll that ended up as well. Now, Urinal as well has a low amount of likes, 52,000 views. So just think about it like this, and the way I like to do it as well too, is that They've 52,000 views. They've got a lot of people following them. This has been written by Paul Murphy, so TD is writing for the Urinal. That's not weird at all. Sure, it's not. And I put this underneath here. Who would you vote for? So this was a separate poll, and this ended like this as well. 95% said Philip Dwyer, 5% said Paul Murphy. This is under their article. I put that poll in under their article. One of the 84 comments. So forgive me if you will, but this is their territory that I have gone into, stuck a poll in there, and it's ended up with 95% here. Now, people will say, and they're right to do, I think it's cut out of this here as well, how many people voted on it. The answer is, and I'm obviously going to be transparent with you, not that many. Which then shows you that there's a low engagement with this Twitter profile anyway, even though they've got an awful lot of views. And people overwhelmingly, anyway, voted for Philip. Just something to think about. That's all I'd say. That's just something to think about. And I think that's why people should be thinking now going forward. They should be looking at things like that and do your own polls and see what happens. I know Toby's thoughts, well, I should say at Thoughts Toby, I know he puts up polls all the time. And regularly they're romping home with common sense and realism, you know, and with good views, really good views, which is great to see. So keep doing that. And the more times you do that, then the more times you can push it back and say, there you go. What do you think about that? There's something that makes sense. And yet you guys ain't doing that. No plans to cut off blue and yellow flag waving country. Supports, Varager says. So just so as we're in understanding this whole thing, as I've just pointed out up above, 641 million euro set aside for them, €200 credits ending next month for the paddy, and no plan to cut off these things for these people at all. Very interesting, isn't it? That's why people are upset. That's part and parcel of why people are upset. I'm talking about James Gunn's DC slate. Some people are into entertainment to be talking about that. This fella, by the way, I don't know how he's in the position that he's in. You know, he has done some seriously suspect things. But anyway, I'll mention that in the video. This is a Leo Varadkar video that's coming out very soon as well, talking about the various different things that he's been up to. But this is a video that I was a big fan of. And you're going to say to me, Ninja, you're absolutely out there. And I am. But I was a big fan of what happened here because as you can see here, I should say, he's losing the rag and he has to be under serious pressure because this is a guy that is known for being pretty robotic, and yet he is viscerally angry. He is frantically angry in this. This is very passionate and something that we've not seen from him before. This guy's been caught doing all sorts of things over the last few years, which is what I mentioned in the video. And yet, this is how annoyed he is. I think he's understanding, which he is, and I'm sure all of them are, that their positions in government are under serious consideration, because if you've got people that are running against them, and this is why I'm showing you up above here, I'll show you now because obviously it'll be in the video too. But look at this here, 8,478 votes, count 5. I think people can absolutely romp home in that constituency with more votes than that. 15 counts for this fella. Look at this guy, 11,000, count 6 for the Mr. Burns look-alike. Like, this is doable, and that's why you should have hope, and that's why I think people have not been interested in voting. People need to start getting interested in voting, and they need to be running around and getting people signed up that feel the same way that they do. I know people that say, well, it's useless, not that. I hear you, I understand you, but it's real difficult when you have thousands of people, like what's happening on the streets now. It's real difficult to see that and not channel that then into something else. And I think that that's what needs to happen, and I think this fella is keenly aware of that. That's why they're backtracking, and that's why they're saying what they're saying. We're not going to go full in on a cashless society. Not right now, because they're aware that 2024 is going to be coming up real soon. Like, I mean, I know 2023 has only started, but it's going to come up real soon for these people because the election campaigns will start running in and around midway through this year. So that's in their minds. That's why you're seeing them backtrack a little bit. This is the same tactic that they play every time. The year running up to an election, they tell you what you want to hear. And then what did they do then? They went all in on nailing you for the last couple of years over the sniffles. And now it's all like, oh, guys, we're going to listen to you about the cash. We're going to listen to you about that. We're going to listen to you about the borders. But at the same time, we're going to call you islamophobes and far right. This is a beautiful implosion. We've seen a serious implosion from government and media in front of our very eyes. They don't know what to do. They have no clue as to what to do. And this, to me, typifies it. A fella that is generally, as I said, robotic, and lacking any passion for anything says and behaves like this. It's not the content of what he's saying, it's how he's behaving that's interesting to me. I'm no body language expert, but when someone behaves like this, it tells me that there's problems. Now, whether that be himself worried about his own position, I know people would say, listen, and you're right, that he's going to just slink off to the likes of the EU or somewhere in Europe or anything like that. I agree with you. I hear you on that one. I mean, it's real obvious to me that's where an awful lot of these people go. But can you imagine the pressure from up above, from the likes of the group there, the forum? Could you imagine that? The Spectre in real life, as I like to call them. Can you imagine the pressure from them, which is coming down to say the optics of what's going on is not good? You're seeing thousands walking around the streets. Listen, for anyone that's listening to this here, it's cold here in Ireland now. It's winter. People don't like going out in the winter. Just be honest with you on that. But they're going out. They're out in the evening when it's coldest. And they're going out and they're saying, we're not having this. What do you think it's going to be like when it comes up to the summer? And these people are still telling you we're rolling more in. What do you think it's going to be like then? It's going to be growing and growing and growing. I told you 2023 was also a bad year for the bad start to the year for these people. You're seeing Sinn Féin recede. You're seeing these people now go into over the top slander, in my opinion, against patriots and nationalists. Like, I say it in the video, but let's not forget what this guy was up to. Let's just see this. RIC commemoration defended by Varanker. All traditions should be respected. That's the Black and Tans. Do you remember that one? That was 2020. Varanker willing to sidestep the constitution to solve housing crisis. December 2022. So they're telling you this in the meantime. Hey, we're ready to just trot upon the constitution again. This guy that has, in my opinion, no love for this country, no history or tradition in this country, a confused individual because he's Indian ultimately, and that's where his ancestry comes from. And then you've got his mother, obviously, as well, that's given Irish ancestry. He doesn't have any sort of home. A lot of these people, that's the way they feel. I talk to people all the time, and I talk to people that are mixed. I talk to people that have lived in different countries, and say, for example, and their father and their mother are different. They feel, a lot of them, not all of them, that they've no identity. Because they're like, well, I don't know what I am, where I'm from, what I'm doing going forward. You just have to go back and look at some of the comments that have been made by Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson and these guys and see what they talk about and see how they talk about it. You know what I mean? Real clear and obvious. But willing to sidestep the constitution, totally negative. Criminal probe was launched into Varanker in the wake of the leak of the document. Remember of this here? This here welfare cheat sheet as well. You know, that's ironic given the fact that he was with some young fella not too long ago. You know, great morals there, great ethics. Abolish the USC, that never happened. That was a lie. Count 5. Look at him there as well. With the other politicians, Roderick O'Gorman, everybody knows what they think about him. Norma Foley, this is a woman that looks like she'd fit in with a Bond movie. Jack Chambers known as well too. Have you noticed that these younger guys as well all look really strange? You know, these politicians that are in their 30s or 40s and they look like as if they're in their 70s. You know, it's real peculiar. But look at them here there with the children. They have the masks and on they do, and yet the politicians don't have any of that. Interesting, isn't it? So, just before we jumped into that video, I just wanted to show you that. But let's have a look what he's saying and how he's saying it. Let's see if it plays now. So they're building that up for a video, and if they don't play it, now we'll make it bigger. Make sure that people can see this, because this is 30 seconds of a fella losing the plot. And I think it's great to see. This is great to see. A lot of people feel annoyed by this, and they feel like that, you know, a certain way. But to me, it's entirely positive for this side of the fence when you're seeing this happen.
Racists and the far right will blame ignorance. That's the way it works. I think with the housing crisis, it'll be the foreigners are taking our homes. If a crisis, foreigners the type of crime, they'll blame the foreigners for the high levels of crime. If there's violence against women, one of the oldest tropes in the book, they will blame that on migrants and people who've come here from overseas, particularly those who are brown or black.
There you go. So he's annoyed Jordan in that speech there, which I think is great to see. Maybe he needs to go back and have a look at the Botox again, perhaps. But I think it's absolutely fascinating to see this here. Like, I mean, look at the face of him. You haven't seen him that annoyed when he's been questioned by the alleged opposition. Sure you haven't. And then you're starting to see him really starting to get into it when he's like, oh, these people are Istophobes and they blame these people. Well, here's the thing, and here's how I feel. We have enough problems of our own without importing more. When you have Micheál Martin, which is a fact, on BBC saying that there were no security checks coming into this country, of course there's going to be shenanigans that are going to happen. When you are telling people through Helen McEntee that they're talking about forcing people into people's homes that were not of this country, like the lies that are being told in the Dáil that totally contradict what these people are saying in the media and flippantly are saying in the media is astounding. And that's why they are being held accountable. And that's why you're seeing them flip out like this. This is a reaction. You got to realize this too. This is a reaction from people in government over what they're claiming to be 20 accounts online. People have just absolutely disrupted the narrative, and I think it's great to see. Continue that. Continue disrupting that narrative and continue making these people do what they're doing, which is they're starting to create more out there comments going forward. Almost half of Leaving Cert students do not pursue a CAO course. Here's why. A lot more people are starting to realise that trades are super important. They've realised it over the last few years too, that trades are important. It's great to have a degree in gender studies or anything like that, but when things come down to it, pointless. Trades are super important. Sharp division over teaching of gender identity and use of pronouns in updated education syllabus. It's lunacy, as I said here. And this was the video that I did a couple of days ago. So I thought that one was a very interesting video to do. Obviously, talking and using entertainment as a bit of a springboard to go out from. State considers housing refugees in schools as it struggles to find accommodation. I don't know what you think about that, but I would 100% think that is entirely negative. They've put out the thing there to say that the likes of halls and available buildings, if they can have them, like out there stuff, guys, seriously out there. Threats, violence, and flags. What's happened to Ireland of the welcomes? Welcome's been worn out. It's welcome, but not stay. These people keep thinking, oh, well, it's a country of 1,000 welcomes. Yeah, you like to use that against people. You like to use that against them at all. But if you don't like how things are rolling here, you're well able to move yourself on. And that's how it should happen. And at this stage of the game, the welcomes have been worn out. And as most people know who are Irish, that if you're hanging around somewhere for too long, I'm very aware of it all the time, by the way, when I'm going over the 2-hour mark, that I'm probably wearing out my welcome here with people that are listening. So I'd like to try and cut it short, obviously. And what you're ultimately saying is that they're ultimately rattled. You're also starting to see then that you're looking at the media that are posting these things, but no evidence of it in the article, no evidence in the initial picture or anything like that. So the burden of proof is upon you. Mortgage interest rates in Ireland to climb again as banks start to pass on costs. So again, the bank's not taking the hit at all. They're just passing it on to you. And what's been done about that? Diddly squat. And they're taking money off you hand over fist through your shopping and through your mortgage and will be through your energy bills going forward. They are trying to impoverish the working class. It's real obvious to see what's going on here. And are these people being halted? No, not being halted at all. This was another video I did, single car collision. Simon Harris backs Garda use of facial recognition technology. No, like that's going to go well, Tom. Injunction granted against protesters wrapped in Irish flags blocking housing project. This is in Cork. Protesters at development outside Macroom, County Cork, believe houses would be used for blue and yellow flag waving people and object to that. Court hears. So that's what's happening in Ireland. Thought it was also shameful as well too, the way Garda moved people on there. Also, these are people that potentially have families themselves and they're happy to just subscribe into all of this nonsense that they're at. So anyway, guys, that's this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it, as I always say. I'm going to be jumping into the chat now. You can see there are 199 people listening in. That's insane to see so many people in here. Thanks very much for joining in. I'm going to jump into the chat now and talk to a couple of people, obviously. I'll be back again next week, 7:30 Irish time, 7:30 p.m. And I think either next week or the week after, I'm going to be possibly on a couple of different live streams. Now, we will be honest with you and upfront with you on that one. the large majority of them is probably going to be talking about entertainment stuff, whether it be Transformers or something else. So I know people are more interested in what's happening in Northern and all that. I get that. A little bit of escapism, that was always good. And you got to have a little bit of escapism now and again, because if you're sitting there thinking about this stuff all the time, it absolutely wreck your head. But ultimately, as I said, affect these people in the polls, run against them in these elections, do it. It's what you need to do. It's how you save this country. I'm going to jump into the chat now. Thanks very much to everyone that's in here, that's liking, that's sharing, subscribing. Make sure you hit the notification bell up above for future uploads. And thank you for checking out the links in the description down below and supporting the channel. Very much so appreciate it. Right, let's jump into it now and see what's going on in the chat. Mark C says, evening ninja. Good to see you here, Mark. Vaughn Malone says, let's not forget Paddy the Plaster. What a great pal. Camon says, I asked in an army surplus shop in town, and they said it's illegal. That's a pepper spray, yeah. But you think that, like, if there was some sort of you think that there'd be someone out there, like, within government, this is what you need to be putting towards them. Listen, start legalizing these things. They're out there talking. This is how you're looking at this country at this moment in time. They're out there talking about legalizing, how would we say it, mind-altering substances. They're talking about that. What about stuff to defend yourself, particularly either your wife or your fiance or your girlfriend or your daughter or your auntie or your niece or your cousin? Are they talking about anything to help out these people, particularly the women? No. And defenseless men, old age, pensioners. Are you talking about giving them anything to help themselves, defend themselves? Not at all. But what are they going to do? Stuff out there, we're going to just legalise that. Madness. Absolute madness. Fergus Powers in here says, Ninja Knight, how's it going, brother? Great video during the week. If you're out at RT tomorrow, come up and say hello, okay? Great speakers lined up. Looking forward to it. Evening, everyone. Good to see you here, Ferg. Much appreciated for you dropping in. Thank you very much. Let's have a look. Hopefully that RT one is going to be big numbers tomorrow. That would be absolutely fantastic to see. Jerome Reedy makes a good point there. Take back PPS numbers. Absolutely. For sure. Bar of a 101 Forces, Ben Scanlon done a good piece on Chica McCandless today in Griff Media. Yeah, I'm looking at a comment there. That comment is from 748. Obviously, since then, I've been talking about Griff a little bit. As I said before, like Ben, don't trust John McGurk at all. Arnold de Saxon says, Ninja Knight, the United Nations Compact Migration Program are forecasting 1.5 billion climate destined for Europe, people destined for Europe by 2050. This is the thing. They're starting to see these people start to be moved across the 20th. The weather, that's what they're doing as well with the likes of what went on in Turkey. Turkey, the day before, made comments about America, and the following day, then all sorts start going on there. I don't know about you, but that seems like odd timing, doesn't it? Some people make some things. Colette Boland is talking about change chicken's feed. Yeah, chicken's feed is another one that people have been talking about big time. There was a lot of eggs on that were, well, there's a lot of chickens that weren't laying eggs during winter there, and that had become a big story in America, and it's becoming bigger and bigger. See, this is the thing with social media, and that's why it's affecting the likes of mainstream media and these people's narratives. It's happening too quick for them, and they're putting out things where people would have stewed on it, and it's been defeated within a couple of days. Like, look at America, for example. I just like to use them as an example. Look at the balloon situation that happened there. You've got the lefties like Mark Hamill mocking it, saying, that's no moon, it's a space station. Now, imagine that under the previous fella, they'd gone absolutely apoplectic. But what their response was, this is the Americans, right? The Americans came out and went, we know that balloons have been flown over here beforehand. There was 3 of them under the previous fella. We just didn't tell him. So that's making the defense look terrible. Like, and these are the same people that are like, oh, we've upscaled since, the NYC situation. Okay. And you just didn't tell the fella who was running the show. Like, that's egregious at best. And at worst, that's something completely different. And now they're telling you, yeah, the 1 billion, don't worry about that. Same here. It's the exact same here. Sheepdog, good evening, Ninja Knight. So remember as well, too, not too long ago, they closed a cop shop here, and they were like, well, that was owned by, people in the Far East. What? What are you talking about? Good evening, Ninja Knight, and all the good people in the chat, only the good-minded people, 100%. Absolutely, for sure. Steve Dixon, brilliant with Philip getting that Belfast. See you next Tuesday. David Bryan says, David Bryan, I don't know which way to pronounce that one. Just some people pronounce it differently. See you all tomorrow, 1 p.m. RTE. A lot of people loving the work there from Philip in Mullingar. A lot of people big fans of it. Kevin McGee, was that the name of the reporter, the alleged reporter? Let's say it was just it was sad to see that type of behaviour from him, and you're like, Janie. Now even TG Carr totally finito. There's someone in the chat there. It says Enoch Burke and Graham arrested illegal aliens allowed to enter the country. Yeah, fully agree with you on that one. Fully agree with you. Part of a 101 forces, TG Carr gave Fabio the Nigerian blow in a platform to boast about us becoming a minority on their Air and Newer program hosted by Gettr. Yeah, they did. That's true, actually, as a matter of fact. It's always when you remind people about things like that, you're like, oh yeah. Must do a video on that one, actually. Tony Gilmartin says, spitting facts, Ninja. Thanks very much. Much appreciated. A lot of people, by the way, and like again, it's so mad to hear it. People were saying to me even during the week, I know Satirical Soldier won't mind me saying, but himself and a couple of the people in the Twitter space there were like, oh, you're the Irish Joe Rogan. I'm like, wow, that's a humbling comment. There honestly is. Really, I just don't know what way to take that at all. Irish Rested Ninja Night, what's this I hear about Philip getting kicked by a dog? Sorry, Gilday says, Ninja Night, your impressions are unreal. Please do a convo between Bradgar and another of your choice, please. Lul. Him and the Harris fella sound so similar to do. It's actually scary. Hi there. The video from Simon Harris was absolutely hilarious. Hi there, Simon Harris here. Just want to let you know that we're going to be putting in body cams on Gardaí. What? What are you talking about? Why is he walking like someone out of Men in Black? He looks like one of the people that's floating through Men in Black. You know the ones that have the suits that open up, and they opens up and there's a little dude inside piling the thing. Like, what is the story with that? These dudes running around. And I tell you, I think Simon Harris is probably one of the most effeminate people you'll ever see. It's actually weird. Imagine being someone that's in uniform and you see there's the boss coming along there and it's Simon Harris. Hi there. Imagine the ARU. Is it the ARU or the ERU? Someone always corrects me on that. They're not the ARU, it's the ERU, whatever it is. Imagine being one of those guys which are a little belly and all over your nose, and this guy comes in. Hi there. Feynman says, intentionally, registering a party is a fierce battle to go through all the legal admissions weighed down with bureaucratic red tape. Bureaucracy is how to keep themselves where they are. Superman says, Dave Cullen gave Picard season 3 good review. Now, that is someone I would love to talk to about entertainment, Dave Cullen. He really knows what's going on there with that. I did see what he said about Quasimodo. That was the name of the Hunchback. Fair play to you for now. That, just going back on the Dave Cullen thing, entertainment is starting to make a bit of a sharp turn back to pleasing fans. They know that they're losing people hand over fist, and the other side ain't paying for what they're putting forward. That's why the DC slate to me is so poor. I'm going to drop a video on that, and I'll let you know what I think about on that. Mr. KF never give up says, hi Ninja, hi folks, hope you're all well. Let's see you here. So we got that says, Ninja Night, these are the weirdos we went to school with who now are being used by the global stuff, and they think that they're the voice of the progression. Now we're the cool ones. Yeah, that's exactly. Do you know what? I agree with you, because they're every single time I'd always say that they're not people that you'd pick in a five-a-side, let alone be picking as politicians to be leading the place. Like, I mean, look at them; they're all weak. Like, do you think any of those people could do a bench press? There's not one of them, I don't think, in that doll that could do a bench press. Like simple stuff. Could any of them do a pull-up? Could any of them do a chin-up? Could any of them do 50 sit-ups? Like, these are all things that you should be looking at your leaders and saying, yeah, they'd be able to do that there. That's a person of strength there. And again, I think always sometimes physicality has something to do with it. And that's why you're seeing them now moving to this local champion stuff. They're like, right, we're too obvious as to what we are. We're dweebs and geeks and, I mean that in terms of like these guys that are, as was said up above there, the weirdos. When I use dweebs and geeks, I probably shouldn't use those words. I should probably use something, but dweeb is definitely something like that. But these people that wouldn't have been thought of in that sort of way now are leading the place. Like, it's absolutely bizarre world, you know. The place is inverse. Dan's mixtape says what she dressed like. TDR Pete says Ninja Birthday Hair is back. WTF, welcome back with open arms. The money was only resting on my account. The money. A lot of big shout there as well for Dan's mixtape and the chat's good to see. Great stream that we had as well there 2 weeks ago. Seen the stream as well with Number Ribbon. Very good. OH Ninja Knife Raggers bringing the Indian caste views into Ireland. He looks down on the working class. He's causing social stratification. Yes, the caste system is something that people don't know about unless you've either traveled to India or you've watched any of the stuff that they've done. That's a big issue with them. And it's the same sort of stuff and same sort of thinking. Again, that's something that's been passed possibly down by his father, you know, looking down upon people. I've heard it from people that are in uniform and that they'd be outside certain premises and you'd walk by and they'd say hello and you'd blank them. And I said, well, how'd that make you feel? And they're like, that didn't make me feel great. I'm like, but you're still there. And you're still going to say hello to them the next time, I'm sure you are. You know? Blue Graham 1 says, I'm not going to go with that one, Blue Graham. I'm just going to be outside on that one. And that's like that. I'm just like, pass. You have to, as I said before, you know, it's something that Tyson Fury always says, you got a box clever. You know, and the greats like Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson said it. Speaking of, has anyone else seen the videos that are emerging from the UK of the girls? Looks like the gang, the Boylard Mansions gang, are picking a bit of a problem with people they don't want a problem with. People are putting bets on it already. If you haven't seen it, have a look at it. It's absolutely hilarious. Yeah, a lot of people unhappy with the Zach Moradi, I think his name is there. You know, Sheepdog 5 says, "Be nice to have a choice TV license fee to Gonzo Productions." I say, thanks very much, much appreciated. Yeah, a lot of people feel that way, and I think that's why you're starting to see the shrill cries from the media. They're like there recently, there was one fella that was talking about, you know, he was talking about well bigger people than I am, you know, and he was calling them very negative names. But they all seem to be fascinated with the money aspect of it, and that's what it is about for them. They don't seem to understand. Like, I watch Salty, for example, and Salty hasn't been monetized on this place now for like a couple of years. He still posts the videos. I still do the same. I would still do the same, you know, because I'm still wanting to get the information out there and let you know. And these people can't comprehend that. They can't comprehend how people will continue what they're doing if it's just not financially going to be something that's going to back them. Like, I wouldn't care. I'd keep doing what I'm doing. Sheepdog says, the Caribbean. The Caribbean is something that's interesting there. SG sends a thanks to keep up the great work, Ninja. Thanks very much, much appreciated. Thank you indeed. Elena says, Ninja couldn't believe this, the amount of people that absolutely despise Renews shoving this Black Irish down their necks. It's a major own goal. But this is it. You need to keep reiterating that with people. You need to keep showing people, and that's the thing. If you keep showing these people what's going on, they will wake up. It's the Matrix, again, I keep referencing it. It's such an important movie because people have to see it themselves to believe it, you know, and then they have to look at it and go, hang on here for a second. That person that's claiming that they're Irish certainly isn't. The same way that if I move to any of these countries, and I always say the same, if I moved to the likes of Nigeria, if I went in there and said, listen, I just landed there, lads, and now I'm Nigerian, you'd be laughed out of the place. Laughed out of the place. Someone's talking about Wonder Woman there in the chat as well too. Linda Carter siding with absolute nonsense during the week. Adult pretender, you know what I mean? Pure adult pretender. Kevin McMahon says, Ninja, activate your Odysee to open up properly, but it should be opening up properly. Anytime I open up on my app, it's fine. I don't know what the issue is there. Let me know though, and that'd be great. A says, great point about dog kicking and getting rid of future generations. Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? These people lost any credibility and all credibility when they want to talk about these things. You know, and the thing is, their bills mean nothing. And that's the way things should be looked at. And I have to say, you know, that's why, like, I thought it was a great video and live stream from Philip, because he was just like laughing at them and being like, what am I supposed to do? Get chilled up? Like, what? Pure nonsense, you know what I mean? Let's have a look now. But yeah, these people are the same people that are like, yeah, no, don't think about that. Like, I just can't comprehend the mark that makes upon you and upon your soul when you decide to go through something like the thing that they advocate for and celebrate and have worn pins for about the 8. You know what I mean? Like that leaves a certain mark, and I have a very particular way of thinking about that for sure. You know, and to me, any of these people that are out there trying to tell you that they advocate for that, and then they're telling you that Philip's a naughty man, don't buy it. Oh, hey, it's nice to firmly believe that when the USA rebuilds the blue and yellow flag waving country, all of the tech companies here will move there. Yeah, I'd say it's a high probability. I'd say the high probability. There's obviously an awful lot of promises that are going on there. A lot of people can't believe that their man's still running around. You know, they really think it's very strange that he's still running around. And again, it kind of feeds into what some people have been saying, which is, you know, it's all just a play. Because if he's keeping it going, which it seems like he is, and you've had some top former Israel, I think it was the former head of state, that was like, we tried to sit them down and sort it out. And your man said no. Like, I don't know. But the man that was the former head of state was like, listen, it's two influences coming from all Western places, which is clear and everyone knows who they are, that are keeping this running. I think it's clear. But that's on a larger scale, and that obviously is affecting us for sure. But listen, if this place wants to say that it's not neutral anymore, well then I 100% would advocate for Leo Fragger to join the front line, Michal Martin, you know, and any of these TDs that are out there that are saying, hey guys, you know, we need to not be neutral, that's grand. You can head on over. I'm all right. I'll hang on here. You just do the job over there, lads. All right. And you're fully being backed by me when you go over there. And I hope it's a one-way ticket. You know, oh, stop. And I mean that, you know, as dignitaries, guys, in the most pleasant of ways, of course, as you know, respectfully and peacefully. Let's have a look here in the chat. I'll be scrolling through along this. Just as an aside as well, too, guys, if you get the chance, any of Tyler Sheridan's properties there, like the likes of Yellowstone, 1883, 1923, Mary Kingstown, and Tulsa King, they're highly recommended. If you're sick of the woke stuff and you want something good to watch those. They're excellent here. What have we got here now? I keep seeing in the chat day, for example, and it's like someone saying native. I'm like, oh, I thought they were talking about me there for a second there. She talks says she purposely out there as a vanguard in Engine to create a division in society. Clown World's brought to Harris compliments of the compromised. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, she's there for a very clear and obvious reason. But I think the fact that not anyone made mention of that, I think, like right there and then, didn't play into their hands at all. That's why you didn't see anything. Charlie Kenwright says, when I say he didn't see any sort of articles written about it because they were hoping, obviously, something wouldn't. They had to move on. It just makes them look silly. Liverpool protest tonight. Police vans have been, how should we say, diversified. Looks like Andy have started. We don't start the fire. Is that the song? Is it? We didn't start the fire. Anyway, those are the complaint. The protesters. Andy's hanging around here in Ireland. They were proudly posting up their flags there on, was it Monday? I think it was Monday. The media actually are reporting that there was thousands at the pro-Irish demonstration and a couple of hundred at the Krusty demonstration. That's really interesting, isn't it? There seems to be a bit of a turn there. Maybe there's something coming down the line for the likes of the Irish Times, because I think it was the Irish Times that reported that. I was like, oh, well, that's weird. It's weird that they're saying that all of a sudden, isn't it? It's almost like they're on tender hooks, being like, oh no, the eye is on us now. That's right, the eye is on you. It's fixed on you now. It's fixed on you all. Just so you know. Respectful and peaceful terms, of course. But yeah, Andy's up to all sorts across the globe. You know, they have massive funding, and they have been let out of places as well too where they shouldn't have been let out. And they have a leader here in Ireland that a lot of people have gotten a lot of info on, let's say, and it's not good. Yeah, the people are talking about the former head of state there. Leanne doesn't like Louise O'Reilly. I think that's safe to say. People don't anyway. Have a look there. Marty Shannon's in here. It says, good evening to you all, Ninja Patriots. Good to see you here. Dog says, government media NGOs know the stuff on this place. Shadow on anyone that questions anything. Bet if I change over to a different account, I'll see more comments. Probably. this is the thing with this place. Like, you know, it needs to be bought over by someone that's seriously interested in increasing what's going on around the place and letting people know. I like Rumble. Don't get me wrong. I like Rumble. I'm posting stuff over there. I am, but they're letting themselves down with not having the streaming be free. If I'm being honest with you on that one, because a lot more people would just move over there. But to me, again, we've seen it as well, and America's always a good case to look at because you've seen that basically they are just all, a lot of them one and the same, you know. Jason 10 says, hopefully this little bit goes a long way. Thanks very much. Much appreciated, man. Hope you're all well. Keep having a look now through the chat there. Yeah, a lot of people with a lot of love for Michael Collins. You know, I'm a fan. Especially with, I know there's, I think it was last week or the week before, there was someone in the chat, I just seen it as I was scrolling by, and they were like critical of Collins, and I was like, listen, look at how the country has ended up. And look what happened to Collins. Like, I think he would have made a big difference if I'm being honest with you on that one. And I think what we've seen since then has just been a slow decline. You know, that started really with De Valera, in my opinion. Carson Aluka says McGregor could do damage in politics if he wanted. He has money. Exactly. I think they fear him. Like, you've seen that with some of the things that have been going on for the last little while, where they make articles about him that are really, I'd say, negative articles about him. Just he posts something, and they're just like, oh, that's shocking, or even the car incident or whatever like that. Like, they seem to go at him, and he seems to be happy to oblige. And I think that he could be someone that they wouldn't know what to do with. And that's the type of person I think we need. I think we need a person that's in there that they can't control and they don't know what he's going to do. You know, they know what Bertie's going to do. That's why they're giving him the standing ovation. They know the story is there. PDRP says Ninja Cash is king and the police cameras are going to be used for recognition. Yeah. How about they've admitted to it there, you know? They've admitted to it there. That's what you're saying as well. Some of these media outlets are going along with the professional cameras. They're like, you see a manager today that was right up in Philip's face and everything. Like, weird. Sheepdog says cash will be the last thing to go on Ireland tonight. The politicians are, yeah, but I mean, look, here's the thing. They do utilise that as a bit of a get out of jail thing. I hear you on that one, but to think that these people wouldn't be having accounts around the place and all like that. Just as people are talking about NGOs. So now it's really interesting. NGOs have left in their droves from Afghanistan. I wonder what happened there recently. I think 7 of them have left. And some of the stuff that's coming out there is really interesting too. Like, they seem, there's no talk about Afghanistan anymore, so there's not. Zero. Talking about other places, but forget about Afghanistan. What's happening with Sri Lanka? You know? You see these places that things have happened in them, and the media are just like, what are we going to talk about? Talk about the balloon and the lack of action there. What would we talk about? We call people listophobes and far right. I want to talk about those other places. What's happening with those? Jake's Nourish Red says, I thought that was an impression of Punches de Rossa. Sean Mack says McGregor will probably win the presidential election for the novelty factor if he ran, kind of like Boaty McBoatface. Do you know what? I'm half thinking of putting a video together really on to be just like, listen, if you're out there and you happen to hear this, or someone happens to be talking to you, run. Like, run for the place. You know, get people on side, put a huge media campaign behind it. Like, he has a really good social media strategy as well, and tell people exactly what's going on. And I think a lot of people would well be behind them. You know, Sheepdog says, to be fair to John McGorkin, I think he was referring to the alternatives of other people, possible candidates other than Bertie, aka worse than one another. Yeah, I hear you on what you're saying there, Sheepdog, but to me, you know, a title is as important as the content of what's being said, because if you're posting out what he's posting out, you know, you're looking at it and you say to yourself, not into that. You know, just me. Don't forget as well too that he was someone that was like, I'm not too fussed about the Voldemort passports. Yeah, no, I was. I was fussed about that. Let's have a look now. People talking about Johnny Rotten, talking about Christy Moore. And people are awake to Christy Moore now. It's good to see as well. Blocking comments, yeah, they're talking about blocking comments on the Irish digital media. Yeah, they don't like it. Michael says, when McGregor and Versatile release a track Ireland is full, it won't matter what they say. Well, I'll be honest with you on that one. I had hoped that Versatile would have came out with a track talking about what's going on. Now, I know that they talked about, I think it was at Northside Buttocks there last week, but they are someone that for sure I would have hoped something would have came out from them. But nothing as of yet. But who knows? And after the new album coming, there might be something on it. They have had run-ins with the media beforehand. They very much so were standing up for people's civil rights, liberties, and freedoms as well. They're good lads, is what I'd say. And I would hope that they are going to put something out there because it would 100% become an anthem. And again, this is about the youth as well. If you're out there and you're influencing the youth, you should 100% be out there telling the youth what's going on. That's why I take umbrage with the likes of the talking ball bags, because if those guys have a big platform, which allegedly they do, they should be bringing people on that have differences of opinion. With the likes of Philip Dwyer, for example, should be going on there. They should be asking him to go on instead of carting out a journalist that's talking about just protest outside government buildings. That's ineffective. It doesn't work. It's done nothing. Eric Man says, Ninja, you're legends. Absolutely not, man. Boy, appreciate the kind words. Going on through there. But yeah, music is important, and that's what they've used. And I think music going forward should be important. I think that's what we need on our side for sure. There needs to be people out there making music. If you're a musician or anything like that and you're putting something together, do it. Put it up on this platform or other platforms for sure. Rick Farrell says, Ninja Knight, I'm a film buff. Like yourself, my favourite film was Goodfellas, Not a Hope. I'll watch it ever again. Or music by any people that have showed their true colours. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one, for sure. For sure. Man says, Philip Dwyer, the man with a special ability to ask people where they come from. I thought that was interesting as well, too. Your man from TG Car obviously didn't get the memo from when I asked that or said that in the video previously, which was, okay, so people can talk like Philip McMahon that doesn't live in Ballymun anymore, allegedly, respectively. And your man was like, where are you from? And everyone knew in the chat as well. He was like, I'm from Dublin. And you don't live in Mullingar, do you know? No, sure, that has no effect on what I'm saying. And then he says to Phil Cheston, where are you from? And he goes, Belfast. And he's like, well, look. Do you know what I mean? And this is the type of nonsense that these people are up to. They're hoping to get you on the gotchas. And pure nonsense. Yeah, no, let's listen to Philly McMahon and what he says. He's talking about a place he doesn't live in anymore. So, okay. Well, then that means then that everyone's able to talk about what a place that they don't live in, is it? That's happy days. And you're down there doing work for TG Car. You're from Belfast. There you are. You're in Mullingar. You're not from Mullingar. And you're trying to spin what's going on there. Fair play to the people that calling them out and then actually recording it. That's seriously important. Is the recordings as well too, says that they can't frame it in a certain way. Rich McKevitt says it's their arrogance that is bringing them down. And I talked to an old guy that I know, and he was saying the same. He was like, Roman Empire, look what happened there. They tried to keep people entertained with the likes of sports ball at the time, their version of sports ball. And what they did then was they increased taxes till the people just said, nah, not anymore. Brian Wolf says, thanks, Ninja. Brian Baru says, Muhammad Ali wasn't accepted in Zaire because he wasn't pure African. Yeah, it's really interesting to see the types of ways people that are from Africa think about Americans. Really, really interesting. Let's keep going through the chat. People just coming in with the receipts about certain crimes that have been made in the country, been like, you talking about? You're talking about these people don't make criminal behavior. They do. Greg Ferguson is like Norman Foley. I think there's a jawline like Desperate Dan from Muppy Chess. Don't get me started on Henry McIntyre. Oh, lads. I said it before. Have a look at some of the things that Helen McIntyre said about her father. Some weird stuff. She was like, I think in one of the articles she was saying that Dad was really feeling down about the social media stuff. And then I think in a different article she was like, I control the social media stuff. Well, that's conflicting. That was weird. That's weird now. I have to be honest with you. That warrants a look, I would say. Have a look. Steve Dixon says, thanks, Ninja. Much appreciated. Mike Rolton says, thank you, Ninja. Great job. Thanks very much. Eric Ellis says, cheers for the content, man. Thomas Coulter says, another great stream. Thank you. Press like says, OH. Thank you very much. John Beeson says, good luck at RTE tomorrow, lads and lassies. Kim Griffin says, what time is the peaceful assembly tomorrow? 1 p.m. Jerry Son of Mix says, top Ninja. Thanks, Ninja. Good luck, says Catherine and Luca. Thomas FM says, good night, Ninja, from NYC. Good to see you there. I know I've been talking about NYC tonight, you know. Listen, we went full out on this stuff. Michael Alton says, do some renovations. Strong of fault. Your own home. Renovations in your own home now, of course. You know. There's that money effectively there, guys. Let's have a look now. Yeah, make sure, as I said before to these guys, well, too, peaceful, respectful. If anybody's acting to go tomorrow, make sure you distance yourselves from them. And if they're wearing a mask, even more so, just be like, they ain't with us, you know, because they're out to shenanigans. Balloon made in the USA, says Mike Crowden. Steve Dixon says, great YouTube content on Turkey. Real strange. And even on Twitter now at the moment, people are talking about certain things there, I'll just say. Manipulation. Liverpool, something's going on in Liverpool. Have a look at that even now when I come off this. See what's going on there. Wow. Alright, so nosy person there. Went through. Was it breaking my voice going breaking again? Was it? Was that what's happening there? Wow. Nosy person says Scouts has gone a mad one, born in police fans outside a centre over reports of migrants doing something to kids. Big yikes on that one there, guys. They ain't messing about. Noel says, good man, Ninja. Thanks very much. Scousers don't mess about, is what I'll say. No. Scousers do not mess about. Marty Shannon says, what's that the odd time he's there? Yeah, big fan of him. I like him. Really been tuning into him for a long time now. Jerome Reedy says, Ninja Night, please add your Twitter link. Yeah, I will. It's at the _ Ninja Night. I will have to add it in now. Again, the thing is with Twitter, obviously, I know it's probably a matter of time again with that one, but you know, I'd obviously promote Gab and Gettr over that. William Barry says, Ninja, it's all kicked off at the Knowsley Hotel, Liverpool police fan. Yeah, we've seen that. Derek McManus says 16 allegedly speculatively so far this evening. Leon Curtis says Derek McManus, fair play. Nice one for counting there tonight. John Max says, watch Yellowstone, very good. Yeah, it's excellent. For sure. Big fan of it. Red Clouds Ninja Night, always thought The Sopranos was the best thing ever made for Teddy. Yellowstone is a close second. Absolutely great show. Watch Tools of King and Too Good Watch Night. God bless you all. Look after yourself, man. Good to hear from you as well. Thanks very much for being in here. You've been doing fantastic work. Ninja Night Threats Ninja Night Street. Was on my way to Connie Station. I walked past the pathetic number of the far wrong crowd in O'Connell Street. Far wrong. I love it. Room and Irish channel have posted a video of literally thousands of migrants at Dublin Airport today. Things are going to get more interesting. They're telling you that 180,000, they want more and more in. They ain't going to stop. That's the important thing to know. They're trying to tell you through the media that they're going to stop, but they're just going to try and do it more slowly and quietly. That's all they're going to do. Yeah, that's a good point there, TST. Liverpool could be a psyop. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. But, I mean, England is under, and the UK on the whole, they're doing some really out there stuff. And they are, for sure, looking to bring stuff in hand over fist over there. But, you know, it's been bubbling in England for a while now. And I think the difference between here in England, obviously, is with England formerly being an empire, I think when they see what's going on over there and it's getting to the head that it's getting to now, they've been dealing with what they've been dealing with now for a very long time. And I think they're coming to a head now. They've been pontificated to as well too by woke sports people and everything like that about how they're this, that and the other, and they have had enough. You know, even seeing the Leeds fans there during the week singing at Rashford like they let their country down. Like, interesting to see that. Just interesting in general because the PR circus that's around him is there, and Leeds fans just weren't having it. Now, I've seen other videos as well that came out during the week, which was Leeds fans and I think Nottingham Forest fans having a go. I don't know who it was. It was someone on the UK, obviously, and they were like, Petey had no energy about this over the sniffles, wasn't it? So, interesting stuff anyway, for sure. Darcy says, I really don't think that video is in Dublin Airport. So look, that's also another thing as well too. Be wary as well of certain things being posted out. The media are looking for anything and everything. They're holding you to standards that they don't hold themselves to, you know, which is why it's important to be better than them for sure. And I see other people out there that are like, no, you should just mock them left, right, and centre and just say things now because they've been telling lies for decades. So, but to me, I think it's more important and more impactful to tell the truth and say, look what's going on over here. And that's why I think receipts are always super important. Right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Look after yourselves. I'll talk to you next week. A couple of videos dropping soon. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the likes, sharing, and subscribing. Appreciate all the support. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Good luck.